Chapter 454. Goshawk King stared at Fei Si, his gaze as sharp as a knife. He wanted to cut Fei Si open to see if he was lying. How do you know about the appearance of the Rock King? I saw it with my own eyes. Fei Si replied, the divine bird hasn't appeared in the world for millions of years. If the four-winged peng activates the Great Peng's bloodline, it will one day evolve into a Great Peng and become the king of the rocks. All other birds will submit to it. Am I right? However, although the four-winged rocks have always possessed the Great Rock's bloodline, and over the years there have been a few who have had the bloodline power in their bodies, but none of them have been able to successfully activate it. In fact, over the past 10,000 years the Great Peng bloodline in their bodies had become thinner and thinner, and there were very few Great Peng bloodlines in them. The Great Rock has not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years. The Goshawk King said. What makes you think that the Rock King has appeared? I saw it with my own eyes. Fei Si said. Impossible. A rock flew over and landed on the top of the mountain. It said firmly, we have been paying attention to the four-winged rock all these years. There was no appearance of the Great Rock bloodline at all. The few that had appeared before had already been killed by them. How could there be more? Fei Si saw that this goshawk only bowed slightly to the Goshawk King after descending, which meant that it had a very high status in the Goshawk clan. After the goshawk bowed, he glared at Fei Si and scolded, You're just a human. How dare you come to my goshawk tribe to spout nonsense and disturb our people? Do you dare say that all the four-winged rocks are under their surveillance? Fei Si was not afraid and said, You should know that the four-winged rocks have known for a long time that the clansmen with the Great Rock bloodline would die of various causes. It was either you or the other bird clans that caused trouble. So when they found out that a clansman with the strongest Great Rock bloodline had appeared in their clan, they sent him to the lower realm. How did you know about the four-winged rock? Goshawk King asked. That's because a few days ago we sent the news of the four-winged rocks to the four-winged rocks. Although he didn't know which continent they had sent him to, he was back today. Furthermore, it has successfully become a sacred beast and awakened the Great Rock's blood in its body. It has already shown the characteristics of the Great Rock. Fei Si said. Is what you said true? Of course. Otherwise, why would I dare to come to the Goshawk clan? Some of you should be paying attention to the news from the four-winged rocks, right? Wouldn't you know once you see what's going on over there? Fei Si said calmly, but Goshawk King believed him. The Goshawk King looked at the goshawk that had just descended and asked, Song Tong, what's the situation over at the four-winged rock's side? This month's news hasn't arrived yet. Song Tong replied, Today is the day that the news will arrive. Then we'll wait. The Goshawk King said, If what you said is true, then it's not impossible for us to cooperate. If you dare to deceive us, then don't even think about leaving the Goshawk clan's territory. Even if your Fei family is a big family in a state, it's nothing to my Goshawk clan. When the news comes back, the king will know if what I said is true. Fei Si didn't say anything else after he finished speaking. Everyone rested on the spot and waited for the news from outside. The sky gradually darkened. In the middle of the night, the news came back that the four-winged rock clan had made a big move. The clan elders who were in closed-door cultivation had all come out. And for some unknown reason, the originally happy elders suddenly became angry and left the clan's territory with murderous intent. One had to know that these clan elders hadn't left the clan's territory for hundreds of years. This time they left because something big must have happened. When the Goshawk King heard the news, his breathing became chaotic, causing the surrounding air to become turbulent. A strong wind blew around him, almost blowing Fei Si and the others away. King, the most important thing now is not to be angry, but to kill it in the cradle before it completely evolves and gains the recognition of all the birds. Song Tong's feathers were blown into a mess as he said loudly. The Goshawk King's breathing slowly calmed down, and the strong wind also disappeared. However, his breathing was still chaotic. Go and call all the clan elders out. Tell them that there's something important to discuss. The Goshawk King ordered, also call all the captains back. We'll discuss this together. Yes, King. The two goshawks obeyed and left. The Goshawk King looked at Fei Si and said, Now, let's talk about the cooperation. Okay. After flying for 3 months, Sima Yue and the others finally saw a city. After a long discussion, Sima Yue got Cho Xiaotian and the others to wait outside the city and hide well. Then, she would enter the city to see if she could find a way to get close to the teleportation circle and steal the coordinates of other places. If she could get the coordinates of other cities, she could also set up a teleportation circle. This way they wouldn't have to fly so hard. If it wasn't for Cho Xiaotian, she could have kept everyone in the Spirit Pagoda. With fewer people they would be less of a target. However, now they could only wait outside the city. Sima Yue called out 1,000 resonance and fused with him. With a shake of her body she became a complete stranger. Then she swaggered into the city. Before she entered the city she saw a wanted poster on the city gate. On it there were pictures of Chou Xiaotian and Lian Hong as well as more than 10 of them. The poster didn't say anything about Lian Hong. It only said that they had offended the Fei clan. If anyone killed them, the Fei clan would pay a certain amount of reward. Also, they would pay a certain amount of reward for information. What made Sima Yue depressed was that the person with the highest bounty was Lian Hong. The person with the second highest bounty was not Chou Xiaotian but her. Her bounty was actually higher than Chou Xiaotian's. What kind of situation was this? If I meet anyone from the Fei clan I must ask them properly. Why is my bounty the second highest? What kind of enmity do I have with them? She touched her chin and said. If anyone from the Fei clan heard this they would roll their eyes. She had brought people to kill more than 100 of them. What enmity did she have with them? Did she still want her face? After reading all the information on the poster she entered the city. When she entered the city, everyone was compared to the portraits. Previously she had asked Chou Xiaotian. In a city like this that wasn't directly controlled by any power, the teleportation circle was usually controlled by the city lord. And the city lord was usually someone from a sect. Therefore the teleportation circle was still controlled by the sect. After she entered the city she found someone to ask for the location of the city lord's residence. Then she followed the path to the courtyard beside the city lord's residence. There the teleportation circle was being activated in an orderly manner. In the corridor of the courtyard where the teleportation circle was located, a few people wearing the Fei clan's uniform were staring at everyone who came to use the teleportation circle. Chapter 455. Sima Yue observed them carefully. Those people had to be checked by the Fei clan before they could use the teleportation array. If anyone purposely got close they would be captured and interrogated. Looking at the situation it was impossible for her to get close to the teleportation array to get the spatial coordinates, and Chou Xiaotian and the others would not be able to use the teleportation array. Hey, do you want to use the teleportation portal? The guard at the entrance asked when he saw Sima Yue. No. I was passing by to look for someone but I didn't see him so he probably hasn't arrived yet. I'll look elsewhere. Sima Yue turned around and left. After leaving the city lord's mansion she walked around the city and checked on some other things. Then she left the city and flew in the direction she came from. Something's not right. After entering the mountains she asked Little Rock to stop and looked around vigilantly. Master, I seem to smell something familiar. Little Rock said. A familiar smell? Get out of the way. Sima Yue shouted before she could say anything. Little Rock's mind was connected to hers. Whenever she had a thought, he would bring her away from the original place. A ray of light came from the mountain stream and brushed past Sima Yue's hair. Master, are you all right? Little Rock asked. I'm fine. Sima Yue stood on Little Rock's back and looked down. She was worried about the safety of the others. Puchi, suddenly hundreds of large birds flew out from the mountain stream and forest. Upon closer inspection they were all four-winged rocks. The information we received was indeed correct. Despicable humans, you actually made my clan into flying beasts. An old voice came from the front. Sima Yue and Little Rock looked at the densely packed four-winged rocks with a serious expression. Who are you? If we are the four-winged rocks. You actually dared to treat our future king as a flying beast. You are truly too audacious. That elder said angrily, men capture her for me. Be careful not to hurt the king. Yes, clan elder. The surrounding four-winged rocks replied in unison and glared at Sima Yue fiercely. Which one of you dares to harm my master? Little Rock shouted and flew away from the encirclement with Sima Yue. While flying he even attacked the four-winged rock. Those four-winged rocks didn't dare to fight back and could only retreat. Some of the rocks had their feathers shaved off by Little Rock's attacks. When the elder saw the four-winged rock helping Sima Yue, his heart ached. King, why are you helping an outsider? We are your clansmen. I don't know you. I only know that Yu is my master. If you dare to harm her, I will fight you to the death. Little Rock replied. Do you even know who you are? The elder said angrily. Of course I know my identity. I am Master's contracted beast. Little Rock said. The elder almost fainted from anger. Nonsense. Nonsense. You are the king of the rocks, how can you become a human's contracted beast? Elder, don't be angry. Perhaps King didn't know his identity in the past. After all, he was sent to the lower continents when he was still in his egg. One of the rocks came forward to persuade him. Let's talk to King properly. You will understand. Let me talk to him. Humph, what a good son you gave birth to. Although the elder was angry, he told them not to make a move first. That female rock flapped her wings and flew over. She looked at Little Rock lovingly and said, "Child, don't be afraid. I am your mother. You should be able to feel the blood relationship between us." Little Rock looked at the female rocks. Although he was a little confused, he did feel that there was something different about her. He knew that this was the beast race's most direct way of judging bloodlines. "You are my mother?" Little Rock looked at the female rocks. He was a little emotional. So he had a mother and a clansman. "Yes, you are my child." Tears fell from the female rock's eyes. She had waited a few hundred years for him to call her mother. Sima Yue patted Little Rock's back, indicating for him to put her down on the ground. Little Rock understood Sima Yue's meaning. He brought her to the top of a mountain and waited for her to come down. He stood beside her. The female rocks also flew over. When she saw Little Rock, she used her beak to peck Little Rock twice. Her eyes were filled with love. "Child, I have finally waited for you to come back." The female rocks hugged Little Rock with her wings. She was very happy. "Mother, what is going on?" Little Rock looked at the rocks in the sky. The weakest of them was a sacred beast. If they wanted to hurt Sima Yue today, they would not be able to fight back. The female rocks looked at Little Rock and then looked at Sima Yue. She said, "I am Little Rock's mother. My clansmen call me Ninth Rock." Hello. Sima Yue did not know how to address Ninth Rock. According to etiquette, she should call her aunt or auntie. However, she did not know how to address a bird like that. Ninth Rock saw Sima Yue's discomfort. A ray of light flashed and turned into a beautiful woman. She wore a long dress made of feathers. Seeing his mother transform, Little Rock also shrunk himself to be as tall as them. "Mother, why do they call me king?" Little Rock asked. Ninth Rock reached out and patted Little Rock's head. She said, "Because you are the king of the four-winged rocks." "But I only came up from the lower continents." Little Rock said. "But you were born here. That year we had no choice but to send you to the lower continents." Ninth Rock said. "We had no choice. Didn't you guys not want me?" Little Rock always thought that he was a child abandoned by his parents. Because he saw that Little Two was abandoned by his family, he thought that he was the same. "We can even give up our lives for you. How could we not want you?" Ninth Rock said. "Then why?" Ninth Rock sighed and said, "It all started from 10,000 years ago. Since the god bird died 1,000,000 years ago, the king of the rocks became the Great Rock. Later on, the Great Rock also disappeared. We, who have the Great Rock bloodline, became the bird clan that had the highest chance of producing the king of the rocks. Every few years, a rock with the Great Rock bloodline would be born. However, the other bird clans were not willing to see this happen. Therefore, those rocks died before their bloodline power could be fully activated and they could evolve into great rocks." Speaking up to here, she looked at Little Rock with pride and worry. "A few hundred years ago when you were born, there was a strange phenomenon. The clan elders determined that it was a sign of the Great Rock bloodline being born. In view of the fact that no matter how hard we tried to protect you, you would die prematurely. We decided to send you to the lower continents and not let anyone know of your existence. Who would have thought that after a few hundred years before we even went to find you, you would come up on your own? Moreover, you have already successfully activated your bloodline power. Therefore, you are now the king of the four-winged rocks and the future king of the rocks." Little Rock looked at his mother. He could not digest this sudden news. Chapter 456. Ninth Rock did not care if Little Rock accepted his new identity or not. She turned to Sima Yue and said, "My son's identity is noble, so he cannot be a human's contract beast. According to the clan's rules, we will forcefully break the contract and kill you to wash away the shame of being contracted. However, seeing how my son is protecting you if you break the contract, I will let the clan not pursue this matter." No. Before Sima Yue could say anything, Little Rock shouted first. He left Ninth Rock's side and stood in front of Sima Yue, not letting his mother hurt his master. "Child, you are the future king. Do you want to be a human's contract beast for the rest of your life?" Ninth Rock looked at Little Rock with disappointment. "I have no interest in being king. I only want to be with my master," Little Rock said, expressing his position. "Nonsense." Ninth Rock scolded, "Your identity is predestined. Look at your feathers. Look at your color. Golden feathers. Even a phoenix does not have such a color. Do you think you can give up this kind of identity just because you want it? For a human, how can you say such things? Although she is a human, she is my master. She is my family. Little Rock said, she is the one who has accompanied me all these years. She is also the one who brought me up. If you want me to give up on her for a throne, I will not. Little Rock's attitude was firm. He looked at Ninth Rock with an unwavering gaze. If he wanted to give up on his master, that was impossible. Ninth Rock saw the way Little Rock was acting and didn't say anything to him. Instead, she looked at Sima Yu behind him, saying, I can tell that you are a good person. As its master, don't you want it to be better? Sima Yu's lips curled into a smile. This Ninth Rock was smart. Seeing her son so determined, she did not directly go against him. Instead, she tried to find a way to break through. She looked at Little Rock's protective figure and said, as long as it is what Little Rock wants, I will support it. If he wants to be king, I will let him be king. If he wants to be by my side, I will keep him by my side. Her voice was not loud, but it showed her determination and her attitude. Little Peng turned around and looked at Sima Yue, his round eyes filled with gratitude. He knew that his master would not abandon him. Ninth Rock's face darkened. From her point of view, this was Sima Yu's excuse. She only said this because she heard Little Rock say that he was unwilling to leave her. Human, it is because you are the master of my child that we are so polite to you. If you don't listen to us and our clansmen get angry, you and your friends won't have a good ending. Ninth Rock said. As she spoke, she pointed behind Sima Yue. You captured our friends. Sima Yue turned around and saw the four-winged rocks holding Sima Yulin and the others in their claws. As long as they used their strength, everyone would be torn into two. The four-winged rock's claws were the most powerful. She had once seen Little Rock tear apart a sea beast with a single claw. At that time it was only a divine beast. Thinking of Sima Yulin and the others' current situation, her aura turned cold. If you dare to hurt my family, I will definitely make you regret it. Ninth Rock saw the way Sima Yue was acting and was slightly stunned. Her gaze made her believe that what she said was true. If you are willing to break the contract with my son, I will let them go. Ninth Rock said, actually, I am doing this for your own good. If we wait for the clan elders to come, they will definitely kill you. We have a secret method to break the contract without hurting my son. However, you must die. I am doing this for my son's sake. I don't want him to be sad, so I want to let you live. Sima Yue looked at Ninth Rock, then looked at the 104 winged rocks in the sky and Sima Lai and the others below them. This was the first time she felt troubled. Did she really have to give up on Little Rock? No, Little Rock was already her family. How could she give up on Little Rock? However, if she really fought the four-winged rocks, what would her grandfather and the others do? Didn't you say that I am your king? Then I will ask you to let everyone go. Little Rock said. You have to leave her before you can become our king. The clan elders came down one by one and turned into human form. Most of them were old and decrepit. Wind Rock looked at Little Rock and said, we cannot accept our king as a human's contracted beast. That is why you have to break the contract with her before you have the right to become our king. I already said that I have no interest in becoming your king. Little Rock said, since I don't want to be king, you have to let me go and let me be with Master. No way. Wind Rock said, the blood of the great rock flows in your body. You are destined to be our king. This is something that cannot be changed. Even if you don't want it, you have to be. If you are not willing to break the contract, then we will do it ourselves. At that time, whether or not we can keep this human's life will depend on whether or not he has the luck to survive. You are going too far. Sima Yue was enraged as well. They used the excuse that Little Rock had the blood of the great rock and wanted him to return to be their king. However, they did not place Little Rock in the same position as he should have. So what if we are going too far? You are just a human who has just advanced to God rank. What right do you have to be my four-winged rock's master? I will give you one last choice. Do you want to break the contract or do you want to die with them? Wind Rock's attitude was much more arrogant than Ninth Rock's. He did not even look her in the eye. At the same time, he released his own pressure. Sima Yue felt as if she was being pressed down by a mountain. She was unable to breathe and fresh blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. His strength was so high. She had always been more resistant to pressure. However, she was still forced to spit out blood. How long had it been since something like this happened? Little Rock saw that Sima Yue was injured and wanted to attack Wind Rock. However, he found that he could not move. In a moment of desperation, he shouted, if you dare to make a move against Master, I will kill myself. I will let you see the blood of the great rock, but you will not be able to obtain it. Then you will still have to kill yourself. Wind Rock said. Then he ordered the people beside him, go and use a secret technique to break their contract. Clan Elder. Ninth Rock looked at Little Rock worriedly. She was afraid that he would really do something extreme. He is currently being affected by the contract. Once he regains his freedom, he will naturally thank us. Wind Rock said, go quickly. Sima Yue's body was being pressed down to the point that she was about to kneel down. Hearing Wind Rock's words, she glared at him fiercely and said, don't even think about it. Go. Yes, Clan Elder. Two middle-aged men walked towards Sima Yue. One of them reached out and grabbed Sima Yue's head. The other hand was about to poke between her eyebrows. Just as he touched her eyebrows, a golden light was emitted from Yue's body. The person who was grabbing onto Sima Yue was sent flying. Chapter 457. Seeing that golden light, all the rocks present wanted to submit from the bottom of their hearts. A kind of bloodline power that was even higher than the great rocks made them tremble from the bottom of their souls. The golden light dissipated and Qi Yan appeared in front of Sima Yue. Seeing the blood at the corner of her mouth, he frowned and scolded, why didn't you call me out? Wind Rock's pressure disappeared the moment Crimson Flame appeared. Sima Yue stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She took out a pill and ate it before saying, I saw that you were in a deep sleep and wanted to call you when I couldn't take it anymore. Crimson Flame looked at Sima Yue. Was it because he didn't come out often that he didn't have a presence? This girl was his contracted master, but she didn't have the habit of relying on him. This was what he had hoped to see in the past. Now that he saw it, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. At that time she was still so weak and had just started cultivating. He was afraid that she would become too reliant on him and lose her motivation after knowing his strength. After getting along with her, he realized that no matter how good her external conditions were, they could not stop her from moving forward. He sighed in his heart and turned around to look at Wind Rock and the others. Without saying anything, he placed his hands behind his back and released his aura. The spirit beasts in the mountains only felt a pressure that went deep into their souls. The four-winged rocks that were flying in the sky all fell from the sky. Not only that, even the other birds in the mountains knelt down in submission. This is... Wind Rock looked at Crimson Flame in shock. He couldn't control his body and knelt down. Only Little Rock, who was also Sima Yue's contracted beast like Crimson Flame, was barely able to stand. However, his heart was filled with the desire to submit to him, as if submitting to him was something that he was born with. Zhou Xiaotian and the rest took the opportunity to escape when the four-winged rock landed. He looked at Sima Yue in shock. He did not expect her to have such a contracted beast. Was she really someone who came up from below? How could she have so many contracted beasts and all of them were so powerful? Little Rock being the king of the rocks was already shocking enough. Now that this one had appeared, it was obvious that she was even more powerful. Crimson Flame arrogantly looked at Wind Rock and the others, saying faintly, is my contracted master someone you can touch? As he spoke, he increased the pressure on Wind Rock, causing him to be unable to withstand it. He reverted to his original form and prostrated himself on the ground. This isn't the aura of a great rock. You're a divine bird. Another elder cried out. Sima Yue blinked, not knowing what they were talking about. She looked at Qi Yan. She hadn't seen his real body yet. Qi Yan looked at her curious gaze and said, you want to see my real body? I want to understand you. Sima Yue said that she didn't even know what her contracted beast looked like. She was probably the only person in the entire continent who was so embarrassed. All right. Qi Yan smiled at her. With a wave of his hand, the area within a radius of 10 miles was covered by a barrier. Then he leaped into the air and transformed into his original form. A fiery red bird appeared in front of everyone. This is a phoenix? Lian Hong looked at Qi Yan who was flying in the air and said in a daze. Zhou Xiaotian swallowed his saliva and said, this isn't a phoenix. This should be one of the legendary 4 ancient mythical beasts, the divine bird Vermilion Bird. He felt as if he couldn't breathe. He actually saw the legendary Vermilion Bird. This was too inconceivable. Sima Yue was also stunned when she saw Qi Yan's appearance. She had once read about the Vermilion Bird in an ancient book. There was only one in the entire world. Once the divine bird appeared, all other birds would submit to it. Four-winged Rock and the others were completely petrified. The divine bird that hadn't appeared in millions of years had actually appeared today. Moreover, it shared a contracted master with Little Rock. If it was Little Rock, they could still force him to break the contract with Sima Yue. They could even go against his wishes. However, in front of the divine bird they were all ants. Just as he said, they didn't have the right to make a move against Sima Yue. His contracted master status was far higher than theirs. Qi Yin circled around in the air and flew towards Sima Yue. When he landed beside her, he was once again that peerless man. We didn't know that this was our king's contracted master. We have offended you. Please forgive us. Wind Rock laid on the ground and said in a trembling voice. Qi Yin looked at Wind Rock and a ball of flame appeared in his hand. Feeling the temperature of the flame, Wind Rock and the other's eyes were filled with deep fear. Master. Little Rock looked at Sima Yue with a pleading look in his eyes. Sima Yue patted Little Rock's head and said, Qi Yin, since they are Little Rock's clansmen, let them go. Anyway, I'm not that badly injured. If you kill them, Little Rock will be sad. Wind Rock and the others didn't think that Sima Yue would speak up for them. They wanted to kill her just now. Lifting their heads, they saw the love in her eyes as she looked at Little Rock. Only then did they understand that she was doing this for Little Rock's sake. She just didn't want him to be sad. This meant that when she said that she would follow Little Rock's wishes, it was true. Ninth Rock looked at Sima Yue and felt a little sad. She knew that she had to follow Little Rock's wishes and give him what he truly wanted. Why was she, as a mother, not as good as a human? Moreover, Little Rock was more dependent on Sima Yue. They looked more like a family. Sima Yue saw Ninth Rock's gaze and patted Little Rock's head and said, Go and help your mother up. Little Rock nodded and flapped his wings to Ninth Rock's side and said, Mother, I really don't want to be separated from Master. Don't force me. Mother, please get up. Ninth Rock supported Little Rock's wings and stood up. She really didn't feel Qi Yan's pressure anymore. She touched Little Rock's face and said, Mother won't force you. You can do whatever you want as long as you're happy. The four-winged rock clan didn't know what to say. With Qi Yan here, how could they dare to force Sima Yue and Little Rock? You all should get up too, Sima Yue said. Wind Rock and the others saw that Qi Yan didn't object and stood up. They didn't know what to say in front of the King of Birds. In the end, it was Wind Rock who spoke. We apologize for our actions just now. Actually, we did this to protect him. If those bird clans knew of his existence, they would definitely do their best to kill him. Those clans? Sima Yue frowned. Since the four-winged rock and the others had received news of Little Rock, then those other bird clans must have also received news. If they didn't clarify things, then there would be a lot of trouble in the future. Oh, Qi Yan asked. 7 to 8 bird clans with the Goshawk clan as the main one. They all have the idea of ruling the entire bird clan. Our children who died prematurely were all killed by them. Wind Rock replied. Master, I want to transform. Little Rock suddenly said. Everyone looked at Little Rock. They didn't know why he would have such a thought at this time. Chapter 458. They were talking about goshawks, so why did he suddenly want to transform? Little Peng saw that everyone was looking at him. Only then did he realize that his voice had been too loud and had interrupted their conversation. Ahem, you guys continue. Sima Yue understood Little Peng's intentions and smiled. Wind Rock saw that Crimson Flame did not speak and continued. The Goshawk clan has developed better than the other clans these few years, so they are becoming more and more powerful. There are already many bird clans under them. It is also because of this that their ambitions have been fostered. What about the Phoenix clan? Did they not care about the internal strife of the bird clan? Crimson Flame asked. The Phoenix clan has always been living in the middle and inner regions. They don't care about the outer regions. Wind Rock said, Furthermore, we also received news that Goshawk obtained the support of one of the Phoenix's branches. Phoenixes had the bloodline of the vermilion bird, so they looked quite similar to the vermilion bird. In the entire bird race, the Phoenix race had the highest status. Of course, if a great rock was born, they would have to submit to the great rock's might. However, there had always been only one great rock, while the Phoenix was indeed a race. There was no way to compare their strengths. Hearing them mention Phoenix, Sima Yue thought of Rainbow. Back then it was sent to the surface by Chongming. After so many years, she knew how it was doing now. After Crimson Flame heard Wind Rock's words, he said to Sima Yue, It's not convenient for me to appear in front of the world right now. Help me deal with these matters. Me. Sima Yue pointed at her own nose and said, Even though you are my contracted beast, my strength is limited. How can I settle this for you? And him. Crimson Flame looked at Little Rock. Sima Yue immediately understood what Crimson Flame meant. When Crimson Flame wasn't around, Little Rock was the king of birds. Crimson Flame wanted her and Little Rock to deal with it. But Little Rock's bloodline power hasn't been fully activated yet. She said, The other bird clans won't recognize him. Doesn't he want to transform? Then when he goes through the lightning tribulation, help him open up all his blood vessels. Crimson Flame said. Sima Yue looked at Little Rock and said, not now. I need to prepare. Crimson Flame nodded and said, then we'll talk when you're ready. I wonder what contract master is preparing. Do you need our help? Wind Rock asked. No need. Sima Yue said, just make sure your people don't attract too much attention. The Peng Wind allowed those who could transform to transform, and those who couldn't transform to mimic. The valley that was originally densely covered by the 4 winged rocks suddenly became spacious and empty. Crimson Flame returned to the Spirit Pagoda and Little Rock was pulled aside by Wind Rock and the others to talk. Sima Yue went down from the mountain peak and came to the mountain stream to meet up with Sima Lai and the others. Grandpa, are you all right? Sima Yue saw that their clothes were torn by the claws of the 4 winged rocks. She was afraid that they were injured as well. Don't worry, those are just superficial wounds. Sima Lai said, we just used some pills and the wounds have already scabbed over. That's good then. Sima Yue said. Yue, is Crimson Flame really the primordial divine vermilion bird? Sima Yue asked. Sima Yue nodded. Oh my god, this is simply too frightening. Fatty Chu said, this scared my little heart so much that it's jumping up and down. Your 2 contracted beasts are too amazing. Sima Yue didn't think that she would encounter such a thing after leaving for a while. Thinking about what she had promised Crimson Flame, she felt that the burden on her shoulders had become even heavier. However, why did he say that it wasn't convenient for him to appear in front of the world? Yue, are your injuries all right? Bei Gong Tang didn't forget that she had been injured by Wind Rock's pressure. It's nothing serious. It's already much better. Sima Yue said. Looking at Chou Xiaotian, she said apologetically, we have some matters that will delay us for a while. No rush. In any case, we're not in a rush. Chou Xiaotian said. He looked at the 4 winged rocks that filled the valley, and the shock in his heart continued. At the same time he was excited. If the 4 winged rocks were to escort them, they wouldn't have to worry about their safety on the way to the innumerable Green Palace. What do you want to do? Sima Yulin asked. Little Rock wants to transform. Crimson Flame said that he would help him activate his bloodline power when he transforms. I want to refine some pills just in case. I'll also refine some for 1000 resonance and the others so that they can transform together. Sima Yue said. Let's wait until your injuries are healed. Tell me what you want to refine. I'll help you refine it. Bei Gong Tang said. Okay. Sima Yue said, in any case you can refine those pills. I'll give you the ingredients in a while. Okay. Bei Gong Tang nodded. Sima Yue looked at Fatty Chu, saying, Fatty, I need a few lightning-resistant spirit tools for them to use when they transform. Do you know what to refine? I do. You've already told me so many times. I'll definitely refine them for you. Fatty Chu said. Your rank isn't high enough yet. Just refine a few more. If we don't have enough quality, we'll just have to make up for it. Sima Yue said. After that, she looked at Sima Yulin. Before she said anything, Sima Yulin said, I'll set up an array to help them resist the lightning tribulation. Sima Yue smiled, I'll have to trouble you. Okay, let's begin then. Fatty Chu said as he went to choose a flat area. He took out his tools and began to refine them. Sima Yulin called out his flying beast and flew into the air to observe the terrain. He was prepared to use the terrain to set up a large array. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang were discussing what pills they needed to refine. Just the recovery pills were not enough. As for Sima Lai and the others, they seemed to be used to it. Each of them was cultivating at the side or cooking. Chou Xiaotian, Lian Hong and Wei Ziqi were together. They watched him cook, occasionally glancing at Sima Yue and the others. Who would have thought that apart from Sima Yue, who was an alchemist and an array master, they actually had an armament master and an array master in their group? With so many sacred beasts and so many different professions, he guessed that not many people from the lower realms would have this kind of power, right? If they were to say who was the beast tamer master now, he would not be surprised. In the next 2 days, Sima Yue and the others had been preparing. As for Little Rock, Ninth Rock and the others, they understood the situation of the bird clans above and understood the heavy responsibility on their shoulders. As for Ninth Rock and the others, they also found out about Sima Yue from Little Rock. After hearing about her, they were extremely shocked. There was actually someone like her among the humans. With this talent and strength, it was not too much to ask for her to be Little Rock's contracted master. However, the 4 winged rocks had always been a high and mighty existence. Now that they knew that their king had been contracted by a human, Although this person was very strong, they still felt uncomfortable. 2 days later, Sima Yue waved at Little Rock and the others. They flew into the valley and landed beside her. The preparations have been completed. We can transform anytime, Sima Yue said. Chapter 459. Hearing Sima Yue's words, Ninth Rock clenched her fists and looked at Little Rock worriedly. She had also experienced the transformation lightning tribulation, so she naturally knew how terrifying it was. There were so many sacred beasts in the primordial lands. The reason why many of them did not want to transform was because the lightning tribulation was too powerful. Seeing the sacred beasts fail to transform and turn into ashes in the end, everyone was terrified. Mother, don't worry. You can trust me. Little Peng comforted her. Yes, you have to do your best. Ninth Rock knew that this was something it had to go through, so she did not say anything to dissuade it. Sima Yue said to Wind Rock, I'll have to trouble Clan Elder to ask the others to leave this place. All right. Wind Rock waved his hand and all the 4 winged rocks flew out of the valley, leaving the area that Sima Yue said. Sima Yue looked at Sima Lai and the rest. They were all sitting on their flying beasts, far away from the area where the lightning tribulation could appear. Mother, you should leave too. Little Rock said to the unwilling Ninth Rock, I'll be fine. Yes. Ninth Rock touched Little Rock reluctantly and prepared to leave. Seeing that Sima Yue was still there, she said, Let me take you away. I'll stay behind with Little Rock. Sima Yue said, We have a contract, we can fight against the lightning tribulation together. Ninth Rock was taken aback. It was unknown what she was thinking as she said, Thank you. After saying that, she transformed into her true form, spread her wings and flew away. When everyone was far away, Sima Yue said, Let's start. Chongming, come out and teach Little Peng how to trigger the lightning tribulation. The appearance of Chongming made Cho Xiaotian, who was far away, shocked. How did this guy have a contract beast? Other than these, she couldn't possibly have more, right? Chongming taught Little Rock how to activate the qi in his body. Little Rock tried to follow Chongming's instructions and found some dark clouds floating in the sky. As he sped up, the speed at which the dark clouds formed in the sky also sped up. When Sima Yue saw that it was about time, she kept the Chongming and activated the array. She took out the things that Fatty Chu had refined and put them on herself and Little Rock. She then took out the pills that she had refined and put some in Little Rock's mouth. She also kept some for herself in case of emergencies. In the distance, Wei Ziqi and the rest were observing the situation of the tribulation clouds. Seeing that the dark clouds were still condensing, he said worriedly, Why are these dark clouds still condensing? From the looks of it, it's already much bigger than Chongming's tribulation cloud and it's still growing. Could it be that Little Rock's tribulation cloud is much stronger than Chongming's? Fatty Chu was also worried. Will Yue and the rest be alright? When Chongming transformed, it was in the Yilan continent. That place was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. The tribulation clouds were not as powerful as the ones above. Furthermore, because Little Rock's bloodline is slightly higher, I heard that the higher the bloodline, the more powerful the transformation lightning tribulation. Ouyang Fei said. Furthermore, Little Rock wants to use the lightning tribulation to activate the power of his bloodline. I'm afraid that there will be unforeseen events later on, Bei Gongtang said. Ninth Rock and the rest were even more worried. They had never seen this kind of tribulation cloud before. It was even more powerful than when they transformed. Sima Yue looked at the tribulation cloud in the sky and furrowed her brows. Looking at the situation, the lightning tribulation this time would not be easy to pass. Could it be that the tribulation cloud has felt the power of the great rock's bloodline in your body? That's why it's so powerful? She looked at the tribulation cloud that was still growing in size and could not help but twitch her mouth. It was a good thing that they had done quite a bit of preparation this time. If they had directly faced the tribulation, they would have been completely destroyed. Just as the lightning was about to fall, Crimson Flame came out and flicked a drop of golden blood at Little Rock. Little Rock opened his mouth and directly sucked the blood in. Use the power of the lightning to catalyze it. After saying this, he returned to the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue was speechless. This guy didn't even greet her when he came out and went in. Zizi, the lightning made a sound in the sky but did not fall. It was as if it was tormenting their hearts. The commotion here had attracted quite a few people. Many people were sitting on flying beasts and rushed over. They wanted to see what kind of spirit beast had transformed to cause such a huge commotion. Seeing that more and more people were rushing over, Cho Xiaotian's expression became ugly. Their whereabouts would definitely be exposed like this. As expected, he saw a few people gather together to discuss after seeing them. After that, a few people quickly left. However, he guessed that the Fei clan would not dare to directly go against Sima Yue and the rest. As long as Little Rock passed the lightning tribulation and completely activated the power of his bloodline, he would become a great rock. He would be able to command more than one race of birds. The Fei clan would not dare to take this risk. Sima Yue did not have the energy to pay attention to what was happening outside. All of her attention was on the sky. It was a good thing that when she got Sima Yulin to set up the array, she thought of this and added a protective array inside. This way, others would not be able to enter and increase the intensity of the lightning tribulation. It's coming down. Sima Yue said, the lightning at the beginning will not be very strong. You have to experience it yourself. It can activate your bloodline and improve your physique. I will go with you later. Okay. Little Rock replied and prepared himself to face it alone. The people who had come to watch were extremely shocked when they saw Sima Yue and Little Rock standing together. Is that the spirit beast's contract master? What is he doing inside? Is he going to go through the tribulation with the spirit beast? Is this person crazy? He's actually going through the tribulation with the spirit beast? I've never seen someone like this. Isn't he afraid of being struck to death by lightning? That's right. If the spirit beast is struck to death, it can still contract another one. But if this person is struck to death, there will be nothing left. Isn't that so? This person. I don't know if he's really stupid or if he's too nice to his contract beast. This lightning tribulation is a little too big. Someone finally realized that something was wrong. Seems like it. Isn't this a four-winged rock? I've never seen such a big commotion before. It's definitely a higher bloodline. I heard that the four-winged rock has the bloodline of the great rock. Could it be? It's possible. Look, its feathers are golden yellow. Zap dash. While everyone was discussing, the first bolt of lightning was finally ready and struck towards Little Rock. When the lightning struck the teleportation array, some of the lightning energy was absorbed by the array and sent to the ground, neutralizing a portion of its power. When it landed on Little Rock's body, Fatty Chew's lightning protection clothes also took effect and blocked out a portion of the lightning. The rest of the lightning entered Little Rock's body and the pain instantly tore at his nerves. The drop of golden blood in his mouth turned into an ancient aura and swam around his body that was being ravaged by the lightning. Little Rock could feel that wherever the aura passed, his blood seemed to be boiling. Very quickly, the second bolt of lightning struck and the lightning protection clothes on Little Rock's body were destroyed. However, it blocked out a lot of the lightning. Boom! Little Rock felt as if something in his body had awakened. He raised his head and cried out. The aura he emitted shocked all the birds present. Chapter 460. Other than the four-winged rocks, there were many other birds who had come to watch the show. Among them were the goshawks who had heard the news. After sensing Little Rock's aura, the bird clan was shocked, while the goshawk clan's faces all darkened. No matter how hard he tried, he was still a step too late. Now that Little Rock had completely awakened the Great Rock bloodline, it could be said that he was now a great rock and no longer a four-winged rock. As long as he could survive the lightning tribulation, he would be the king of rocks. When Goshawk saw the four-winged rock's agitated state, he said coolly, "It's still unknown whether or not it can pass the manifestation lightning tribulation. It would be best if he was struck by lightning." "Captain, look, the tribulation clouds are changing." A transformed goshawk looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky and said happily. Everyone looked up and saw that the tribulation cloud had stopped sending down lightning. Furthermore, it had increased its power once again. The dark clouds grew larger and denser, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. F***ck, luckily I didn't choose to transform back then. If this lightning struck me, I would have turned into a roasted bird. It was unknown who said this, but the onlookers all laughed. Bei Gong Tang and the others rolled their eyes at those people. As expected, they were just here to watch the show. They could still laugh at a time like this. Sima Yue took out a new lightning protection cloak and put it on Little Rock's body. At this moment he was still evolving and was lying on the ground, unable to move. "Master." Little Rock raised his head and looked at Sima Yue. At this moment he wasn't as successful as everyone thought. His body was undergoing tremendous changes and he didn't have the strength to resist the lightning tribulation. If he was alone, 2 more lightning bolts would have turned him into ashes. Sima Yue patted his head and comforted him. "Don't worry, just focus on evolving. Leave the rest to me. You can replace me when you're done." After saying that, she stood up and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. "Pa, The tribulation cloud seemed to have sensed Sima Yue's provocation as a bolt of lightning struck down. Sima Yue leaped up and condensed her spiritual energy to attack. When she landed on the ground again, her body was already covered with electricity. The pain in her body made her kneel on one knee. She quickly mobilized the spiritual power in her body and let the electricity flow through her meridians into her body. She transformed it into lightning spiritual power and floated into her dantian, where it lay dormant. When she discovered that the lightning attribute spiritual power had increased quite a bit after entering the pool, she exclaimed, "It actually increased so quickly. Then, if he absorbed a little more, would he be able to advance?" Furthermore, after absorbing the electric current into the dantian, the pain in my body has decreased by a lot. Thinking of this, she stood up and took off the lightning protection clothing on her body. She faced the lightning tribulation alone. "Yue, what are you trying to do?" Fatty Chu shouted. "She'll lose her life like this." Sima Lai and the others were also very worried. How could she take off her lightning protection robe? The power of the lightning will only get stronger and stronger. "Grandfather, don't worry. Fifth Bro has always done things appropriately. He won't act recklessly." Sima Yuran comforted him. However, his tightly clenched fists also showed the worry in his heart. Ninth Rock and the others never thought that Sima Yue would be able to receive the heavenly lightning. While they were shocked by her strength, they were also relieved. With her around, Little Rock's chances of passing the lightning tribulation would be much higher. Seeing Yue take off her lightning protection robe, she was also surprised. However, after interacting with her for the past 2 days, she believed that Yue was not a reckless person. She must have her own reasons for doing this. Zapdash, Sima Yue received another bolt of lightning. This time, she mobilized her spiritual power from the start and absorbed the lightning directly into her body. Although her entire body was in pain the moment it entered her body and she fell to the ground because of it, the effect was not bad. The lightning was absorbed into her dantian. Lightning struck, absorbed, struck again, absorbed again. Sima Yue did not know how many times she was struck by lightning. Her body only moved mechanically. What she didn't know was that, including the 2 bolts that Little Rock had received, there were already 40 bolts of lightning. If it wasn't for the fact that she had absorbed the power of the lightning, she would have long been struck into pieces. Even so, her current situation was not optimistic. Because every time the electricity in her body was not completely sent to her dantian, she would receive another bolt of lightning. More and more lightning remained in her body. If this continued, even if she did not die from the lightning, her body would explode. She raised her head and looked at the dark clouds. This time, half an hour had already passed and it still had not descended. This meant that the lightning this time was even more powerful. She had already eaten more than half of the pills that she had refined. Her body was about to fall apart from the injuries. The array had also been completely destroyed by the previous few bolts of lightning and was no longer of any use. She did not know if she would be able to receive another bolt of lightning this time. Suddenly, an even more ancient aura came from Little Rock's body. Compared to the aura at the beginning, this aura caused the rocks to tremble. Right now, he had truly completed his evolution and become a great rock. Little Rock moved his body and the lightning protection robe on his body fell off. Only then did everyone see his current appearance. His 4 wings had turned into 2 wings and all the feathers on his body had turned pure gold. It was not like the faint gold from before. His feathers were all shining with a sharp light. This meant that every feather was a powerful weapon. Golden-winged great rock. "Master, leave the rest to me." Little Rock's voice sounded even more mature. He stood up and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. There was not a trace of fear in his eyes. Sima Yue saw Little Rock's current appearance and smiled. She nodded and said, "All right, you still have to go through your tribulation in the end. Only then will you be able to understand the heavenly Tao." Moreover, she did not have the strength to receive another bolt of lightning. Little Rock looked at her with gratitude and heartache. He lowered his head and picked up the huge lightning protection robe. He placed it on her body and said, "Master, just watch me go through the tribulation." "All right." Seeing Little Rock's confident appearance, she smiled. She crossed her legs and changed to cultivation mode. She tried to control and guide the lightning energy in her body so that it would not run amok in her body. However, the moment she entered cultivation mode, the lightning attribute spiritual energy from the tribulation also swarmed in, increasing the burden on her body. Right now, not only did she have to convert the lightning energy into lightning attribute spiritual energy, she also had to guide the lightning attribute spiritual energy that she had just absorbed into her body into her dantian. Wu, Her internal organs were injured by the lightning energy. She had been suppressing it all this while. Now that she relaxed, blood kept flowing out from the corner of her mouth. There were many cracks on the surface of her body. Her entire body was soaked in blood. She looked as if she had been fished out of a pool of blood. Feeling the injuries on her body, she had no choice but to retreat. She took out a pill and ate it. However, the lightning attribute spiritual energy and lightning energy in her body became even more violent, worsening her injuries. Damn, don't tell me that the lightning didn't kill me and now I can't take it anymore? Chapter 461. Just when she thought that her body couldn't take it anymore, the blood ring on her left hand emitted a dark red light. It was not obvious because of the blood. Then, a gentle power came from her hand. Wherever that power passed, the thunder attribute spiritual power settled down and followed her guidance into the Dantian. Yue let out a long sigh. Her first thought was that she was not going to die. She waited until all the spiritual energy in her body had been transferred to the pool before she opened her eyes and looked at the blood ring on her finger. That gentle power just now came from this ring. She looked at it carefully, but she didn't find anything different. Pa! A thunderous roar pulled her back from her thoughts. She raised her head and saw Little Rock falling from the sky with a bloody mess, landing heavily on the ground. Little Peng. She hurriedly crawled up and pounced towards Little Peng. Seeing that he was completely roasted, her heart ached. Fortunately, the tribulation clouds in the sky slowly dissipated after the lightning strikes. Otherwise, if it came again, the two of them would be finished. Master, we've succeeded. Little Rock's voice was very weak. Clearly his injuries were very serious. However, as long as he was alive, those injuries were not a problem. At this moment, a gentle light was emitted from Little Rock's body, enveloping him. Within it was the silver light of advancement. Sima Yue also felt that the energy in her body was increasing. The opportunity to level up was right in front of her. After reaching the divine level, advancing to the next level was not all about the accumulation of power. Many people might not be able to advance even after reaching the great perfection stage. It was because they lacked such opportunities. When the four-winged rocks and Sima Lai saw that the two of them had just passed their lightning tribulations, they hurriedly went forward and stood around the valley, surrounding them to protect them. Half an hour later, Sima Yue had successfully advanced to the intermediate God King level, while Little Rock had also advanced from a level 2 sacred beast to a level 3 sacred beast. Ye Guang, Thousand Resonance, and the others also received different levels of power feedback. Although they didn't advance, it was much better. After Sima Yue finished leveling up, the first thing she saw when she opened her eyes was a handsome guy. Before she could say anything, he hugged her and shouted happily, "Master, Master! My transformation is a success." Ah! Sima Yue couldn't breathe as he hugged her. She smiled and said, "I knew you would succeed. Little Peng has always been great. But if you keep hugging me like this, I'm going to suffocate to death." Little Rock's face was red as he let go of her. He had just successfully transformed and was not used to using his hands, so he could not control his strength. "Thank you, Master. If it wasn't for Master, I would have died in less than half of the battle." Ninth Rock and the others had told him that Master had taken 38 bolts of lightning for her. Although the first 9 bolts of lightning were not very powerful, and the most important ones were the last 9 bolts, if it had not been for her, he would have been killed when he activated his blood. Sima Yue stood up and looked at Little Rock from head to toe. She laughed and said, "I didn't expect our Little Rock to be so good-looking after transforming. What a handsome guy." Little Rock also liked his human form very much. From time to time he would lower his head to look at his body. Sima Lai and the others walked over and hugged Sima Yue when they saw that she had recovered. "You really scared Grandpa to death." Sima Yue patted Sima Lai's shoulder and said, "I've made Grandpa worry. Yue, your advancement speed is really fast. It hasn't even been a year since you became a divine king and you've already advanced to the intermediate level. But your advancement speed is really too scary." Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yue. She still had many scars on her body. The power brought by her advancement only healed her internal injuries. These superficial wounds did not have much of an effect. Ninth Rock came to her side and held her hand. She looked at her gratefully and said, "Thank you. I really feel that Little Rock is lucky to have a contracted master like you." "I'm also lucky," Sima Yue said. "Mother, let's go and settle things over there. Let Master rest and recuperate first," Little Rock said. Not far away, many bird clans were waiting for him. Little Rock brought Ninth Rock and left. Sima Yue ate 2 more pills. They were both 6th-ranked healing pills. From the beginning of the tribulation she had already eaten many pills. If one was not an alchemist, no one would be able to afford this kind of consumption. Those people who came to watch the show all dispersed. Only the bird clan stayed behind. Although some were unwilling, once the great rock appeared, no one dared to go against it. They had to treat it as their king. In the city, a black-clothed man received the news. His face was so black that it could drip water. The people around him did not dare to speak carelessly. I didn't expect that we were still one step too late and allowed it to evolve into a great rock, he said hatefully. Thinking that his own people were now bowing down to Little Rock, his heart was filled with anger. Goshawk King, according to the news they sent back, that great rock relied on external help to successfully evolve. Its strength is not very strong. Fei Si said, if we can kill it before it grows, then you will have the final say in the future. Although its strength is not high, in front of it, all the bird clans will be suppressed by its bloodline. If we want to kill it, it will not be easy. The black-clothed man Goshawk King said. Aren't we working together? Fei Si smiled and said, if we can help you get rid of that great rock. Really? Goshawk King looked at Fei Si, wanting to confirm if what he said was true. I said this is a collaboration. We are working for you, so we will naturally bear the risks. You will naturally have to give us benefits in return. You know, our Fei clan and Lian clan are both super clans. We have deep grudges. Fei Si said. If you can help us kill the great rock, we can help you. Goshawk King said. Fei Si was in a difficult position and said, that would be the best. However, I am worried that if we kill the great rock, it will cause the bird clans to attack us. Although our Fei clan is big, we do not have the ability to fight against the entire bird clan. You don't have to worry about that. These bird clans have been independent all these years. Not many of them are willing to be ruled by others. As long as there is no great rock, I have a way to prevent the bird clans from finding trouble with you. Goshawk King said. That's good. Fei Si said, however, I cannot make the decision on such a big matter. I also cannot mobilize too many experts. Therefore, I would like to invite Goshawk King to Innumerable Green City to discuss with my clan head. What do you think? Goshawk King was silent for a while, then said, all right, then we will make a trip to Innumerable Green City. If you have nothing else to do, we can leave now. This great rock is in the outskirts. Are you not going to pay your respects? Fei Si asked. Not going. If you want me to pay my respects to it, that is impossible. Goshawk King laughed coldly and said. Since that is the case, then let's go back. Fei Si took out a one-time use teleportation array and placed it on the ground. The teleportation array to the Fei clan was formed. The group of people entered and quickly disappeared from the house. Chapter 462. When Sima Yue opened her eyes again, the birds that came to worship Little Rock had already returned. Only the four-winged rocks remained. After asking, he found out that she had been in seclusion for half a month. After washing up, she walked out of the tent. Little Rock, who was talking to Wind Rock and the others, quickly walked over. Master. Sima Yue looked at Little Rock's handsome face and said with a smile, don't call me master in the future. You are the king of the rocks after all. Calling me master in front of others is damaging to your dignity. Then I'll call you Yu. Little Rock said, Yu, how about that? That's right. Sima Yue smiled. She looked at Ninth Rock and the others and asked, how are things going? These past few days, most of the royal bird clans have already come. Only a few haven't come. Little Rock said. Goshawk King? Yes. Little Rock nodded. We received news that Goshawk King Tsangmang went to the Fei clan. He should be discussing something. The Goshawk King and the Fei clan must be up to no good. They might even be discussing how to destroy us. Cho Xiaotian said from the side, Goshawk King doesn't want Little Rock to live, Fei clan doesn't want Lian Hong to live, Lang and Bei are connected just like that. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Sima Yulin said. How do you know? Cho Xiaotian knew that Sima Yulin was usually a man of few words, but he was always right. The Goshawk King wants to use the Fei family to kill Little Rock. This hypothesis is valid. However, if the Fei family wants to use the Goshawk King to deal with us, they are making a mountain out of a molehill. Sima Yulin analyzed, the Fei clan is one of the most powerful clans in the province. If they want to kill you, it won't be that difficult. Compared to killing Little Rock, the conditions are not equal. The Fei clan wouldn't do such a thankless task. That's right, then they must have other conditions. Cho Xiaotian said. Let's put aside the matter of dealing with the Goshawk clan and pacifying the Bird clan's internal strife for now. Let's go to Innumerable Green City first. Only after completing this matter can we fully focus on the battle. Sima Yue said, Little Peng, you don't have to come with us. Go back with your mother and the rest to discuss these matters. We'll come back for you after we send them over. Little Rock hesitated. He didn't want to be separated from Sima Yue, but from the news he received from his mother and the elders, the situation here was more troublesome. If he delayed for too long, the Goshawk tribe and the other tribes might make a big move. Ninth Rock saw her son's hesitation and said, How about this? I'll get a few of the higher-ranking members of the clan to escort them to Innumerable Green City. Little Rock, you go back to the clan and take charge of the situation. Once they're done with their business, you can meet up with us. Alright, tell me your coordinates. We'll use the teleportation formation to come over. It won't take too long. Sima Yue said. Alright then. Little Rock said, Mother, you must send someone stronger to protect you and the others. Mother will. Ninth Rock replied. In the Four-Winged Rocks clan, those who were named after numbers were of higher status in the clan. If she wanted to send someone to protect Sima Yue and the others, it was still possible. In order to narrow down the target, Sima Yue got Sima Yulu and the others to stay behind. Initially, she only wanted to bring Sima Yulin because the two of them would be able to set up the teleportation formation together. Furthermore, his battle prowess was higher than the others. However, they all said that it was too dangerous for the two of them to go alone. In the end, she got Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei to go with them. Ninth Rock found 4 spirit beasts for them. They were all in human form and wouldn't stand out if they went with them. The 8 of them flew into the city. After the lightning tribulation, everyone in the city knew that Sima Yue was with the Four-Winged Rocks. Now that she had entered, even if they knew that she was someone the Fei clan wanted to capture, no one dared to do anything. That was because no one dared to go against the Four-Winged Rocks. They went to the city lord's residence. When they saw them, the people in the city lord's residence were shocked. Someone quickly came forward and asked, Are you going to use the teleportation formation? Yeah, we're going to Innumerable Green City. Sima Yue said. I'm really sorry. We can't go directly to Innumerable Green City from here. That person said. Then let's go to the nearest city. The nearest is Grand City. Hearing Grand City, Lian Hong's body shook. Chou Xiaotian's expression turned ugly. What's wrong? Sima Yue asked when she saw their strange expressions. Grand City is the city where the Lian clan is located. Chou Xiaotian said. Sima Yue was stunned, saying, Then why don't we change cities? Lian Hong shook his head, saying, No need. Let's just go there. I want to see the place where my father grew up. That's fine too. Sima Yue said to the people in the city lord's residence, Then let's go to Grand City. The 8 of them entered the teleportation formation. The people in the city lord's residence inserted their spirit energy into the area marked as Grand City. The teleportation formation lit up and the 8 of them quickly disappeared. Outside, the 2 Fei clansmen looked at each other, quickly informed young Master C of their whereabouts. Grand City was rather far away. When Sima Yue came out of the teleportation formation, she was already dizzy. The few of them had no choice but to find an inn to stay the night. Bei Gong Tang supported Sima Yue into the room and gave her some water to wash her. See, it's a good thing I came. Otherwise, no one would be able to take care of you like this. Sima Yue lay on the bed and said dizzily, Previously, when we left Heavenly Tiger Ridge, the distance was not far, so I didn't feel anything. I thought that I wouldn't be dizzy, but I didn't expect that I would still be dizzy. If you can learn how to calculate the space in this continent, you can set up your own teleportation formation. Bei Gong Tang said. Yeah, I'll learn it when I return to Divine Devil Valley. Sima Yue rubbed her temples. I heard that Martial Uncle is an array master. Maybe I can ask him for advice. That's good too. Bei Gong, do you have any suggestions? It's not a suggestion. I just heard from my mother that there's a very good academy in the central region that has very high attainments in various professions. If you can learn the art of divination here, you'll be able to get rid of this pain sooner. Is that academy very famous? Sima Yue asked. It's an organization that's comparable to the surrounding powers. I heard that many people went to the central regions after they came out. Furthermore, many of them even entered the Divine Devil Valley. Bei Gong Tang said. Since that's the case, after we save your mother and brother, we can go and take a look. Sima Yue said, but for now let me sleep first. Bei Gong Tang looked at her pained expression and laughed before turning around and leaving the house. At this moment, in a large courtyard on the other side of the city, a figure hurriedly ran in. He entered a study room and said, "Mistress, Lian Hong and Chou Xiaotian came to Grand City today." Chapter 463. Sima Yue slept for a whole day and felt much better at night. She couldn't sleep anymore. Just as she was about to get up to drink some water, she suddenly felt two strong auras surrounding the small courtyard. Not good. She put down the glass and rushed out. As soon as she opened the door, she saw two black shadows flashing past. They were holding a person in their hands. "Stop." She chased them down the corridor and came to the window. She saw the two of them carrying Lian Hong and flying out. A figure chased after him. It was Chou Xiaotian. "You come up." Sima Yulin sat on his flying beast and came up. Sima Yue jumped down and Bei Gong Tang, who had rushed over, also jumped up. The three of them followed Chou Xiaotian and chased after them. The four-winged rocks also chased after them. They transformed into their true forms and soon overtook Sima Yue and the rest. The speed of the four-winged rock was very fast. It did not take long for it to catch up with the two people and surround them. "Bring him over," one of them said to the other. "All right." That person carried Lian Hong and continued to fly forward while the other person attacked Sima Yue and the rest to prevent them from chasing after them. Sima Yue and the other two four-winged rocks surrounded the man while Chou Xiaotian chased after him with the other two four-winged rocks. She did not know what they had done to him. He was even unconscious. He let that person lead him to soak in the water. "Who are you people?" The four-winged rock looked at that person and asked. "The Lian family?" Sima Yue saw that they hadn't changed into their night clothes. Their attire was still considered to be of high quality. Furthermore, they dared to brazenly kidnap people and only captured Lian Hong alone. Other than the Lian clan, there was no other possibility. That person did not answer. Instead, he attacked with all his might towards Sima Yue and the others, trying to break through their encirclement. Since that person was able to fly, he was at least at the divine ancestor level. Sima Yue and the rest could only dodge his attacks. This also achieved his goal as he instantly flew in the opposite direction. "Young miss, what do we do now?" the four-winged rock asked. They knew how to address Sima Yue. They couldn't keep calling her contractor, so everyone called her Mississippi. Sima Yue looked in the direction that the person had left in and said, "Let's not care about that person. Let's chase after them." That person was just a small soldier of the Lian clan. If Lian Hong was really brought to the Lian clan, they would have to gather their men to rescue him. They flew in that direction for a while and saw Chou Xiaotian and the two four-winged rocks being attacked by a group of people from afar. Lian Hong was nowhere to be seen. The two four-winged rocks also joined the battle. They didn't expect the Lian clan's people to be so strong. Just a few of them dealing with a single flying beast was actually able to hold them back. "Brother Chou, where's Lian Hong?" When Chou Xiaotian saw Sima Yue and the others rushing over, he hurriedly said, "Yue, they have captured little Lian and brought him down." Sima Yue looked at the courtyard not far away and said, "Yulin, let's go over." The flying beast brought them over. Just as they flew above the Lian clan's courtyard, many guards came out from inside and surrounded them. "Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Lian clan's courtyard?" The leader of the guards scolded. Sima Yue looked at the 10 over people who came out all of a sudden and said, "You've captured our people. We're here to save them." "Nonsense. How could our Lian clan capture your people?" The leader of the guards said. "You've just captured them. Do you still want to deny it?" Sima Yue saw that the other party was denying it and said that she was worried for Lian Hong's safety. She said anxiously, "You'd better let them go. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." "Impudent." The leader of the guards scolded, "Where did you come from? How dare you threaten the Lian clan? You've indeed captured our people just now. Your guards are still fighting with our people over there. Our people saw you bring them here. We're not threatening you. We're just stating a fact." Sima Yue said. "No matter who you are, if you dare to offend the Lian clan, you must be captured. Get them." The leader of the guards waved his hand and the others came forward to capture them. "You're asking for death." She quickly formed a flaming sword and injected Qi Yan's flames into it. She swept it out and the few people and their mounts were burned to ashes. The rest of the people quickly retreated and looked at the flame in Sima Yue's hand in fear. Just as the leader of the guards was about to call for help, 2 people flew out from the 2 courtyards of the Lian clan. They looked at Sima Yue's flame in shock. This is... The 2 of them were extremely excited. They looked at Sima Yue and asked excitedly, "What kind of flame is this?" Sima Yue did not speak. She looked at the 2 old men cautiously. She could not feel the aura of the two at all. They were just like normal people. However, the two of them could fly. Elder Black and Elder White, they said that we captured their people and trespassed into the Lien clan. They even killed a few of our guards. The leader of the guards said. Elder Black and Elder White looked at Sima Yue and asked, "Why do you want to kill our people?" "You captured our people." Sima Yue said. "Do you know who captured them? Which courtyard did they enter?" Elder White asked. "We didn't see them." Sima Yue said, "When we rushed over they were already gone. However, we recognized their clothes. There was a magnolia flower at the corner of their clothes just like yours. You didn't see it with your own eyes. How can you be so sure that they entered our Lien clan? Even if they were wearing our Lien clan's clothes, others could wear them and impersonate them." Elder Black said. "It was your people who captured Little Lien." Cho Xiaotian flew over. The four-winged rocks came to Sima Yue's side and turned into their human forms to protect her. "Miss, are you alright?" The four-winged rocks felt the temperature of Qi Yan's flame and asked nervously. "I'm fine." Sima Yue retracted her flame. "Four-winged rocks?" Elder Black and Elder White looked at the four-winged rocks and raised their eyebrows. Cho Xiaotian looked at Elder Black and Elder White and said, "Although Little Lien is a member of your Lien clan, you have never asked about him all these years. He will not be a threat to you. Please let him go." The birds of this bird clan were the most arrogant. Why would they follow a human and protect her? "Our clan's people? You're saying that we captured our own people?" Elder Black frowned and said, "Would we have nothing better to do than eat and do something like this?" The situation here had alarmed the higher-ups of the Lien clan and they all rushed over. Clan. Everyone flew to the side and made way for a tall and skinny man. Lien Ju flew to Elder Black and Elder White and said, "I didn't think that the two clan elders would be alerted too." Elder White saw Lien Ju and said, "You came at the right time. She said that we captured their people and that they were members of our Lien clan. Tell us what's going on." Chapter 464. Lien Zhuangxing was startled and said, "We didn't send anyone to capture anyone today? What's his name?" "Lien Hong." Cho Xiaotian said. "Lien Hong? Is there anyone in our clan with this name?" Lien Zhuangxing asked the housekeeper beside him. "Master, we do have someone called Lien Hong, but he's a 5-year-old child from the 3rd-generation branch. He's currently living in the branch, so no one went to capture him." The housekeeper replied. "You heard it, we don't have the person you're talking about." Lien Zhuangxing said to Cho Xiaotian, "Are you mistaken? We're not surprised that you don't recognize him. After all, you didn't ask about him for so many years, so you've already made your intentions clear. But I didn't think that your Lien clan would be the same as the Fei clan. We just arrived in Tai City, and you're already trying to capture him. We don't understand what you're saying. We've never done anything to our own clan members. If the person you're talking about was really from the Lien clan, we wouldn't have not known." The person behind Lien Zhuangxing said, "You, a person from who knows where, want to throw dirty water on our Lien clan? I think you don't want to live anymore?" "Lien Yu, you dare say that he's not from your Lien clan?" Cho Xiaotian said, "Then his child, isn't he from your Lien clan?" Hearing Lien Yu's name, everyone was shocked. A woman flew up from below, crying and said, "You're talking about Yuer's child? Where is Yuer? Why hasn't he come back to see us for so many years?" "Who are you?" "I'm Yuer's mother, please tell me where is Yuer." The woman looked at Cho Xiaotian pleadingly. "Lien Yu already died a few decades ago." Cho Xiaotian said, "That year, not long after you expelled him from the clan, he and Fei Meng were killed by the Fei clan." "How could that be?" Lien Yu's mother was stunned, almost falling from the sky. Luckily, a man beside her held her up. "That year there was another Lien clan member with us. At that time, Lien Yu had already been killed, and the Fei clan soldiers were chasing after us. He should have been able to survive. Could it be that he didn't bring back the news of Lien Yu's death?" Cho Xiaotian said. "You're talking about Lienin?" Lien Yu's mother asked. "It's him." Cho Xiaotian said. "When Lienin came back, she said that you had taken Fei Meng to a faraway place. She even said that she wanted me to treat it as if she had never given birth to him. That's why after so many years, we never tried to find his whereabouts. We didn't even know that he had long since." Lien Yu's mother said with tears streaming down her face. Suddenly she thought of something and said, "You said Yuer's son?" Lien Yu and Fei Meng had a child, but both of them died when the child wasn't even a year old. All these years I've been taking him to escape from the Fei family's pursuit. I didn't expect that he would be captured by you guys the moment we arrived in Tai City. Cho Xiaotian looked at the Lien family members, trying to find clues from their faces. When the Lien family heard this news, they all fell silent. Lien Yu, as the young master of the direct line of descent, had a high chance of becoming the future head of the Lien family. However, he fell in love with someone from the Fei clan. In order to be with her, he was willing to be expelled from the clan and lose the right to be with her. Lien Yu's mother grabbed the hand of the man beside her and said agitatedly, has a child, he has a child? Cough cough, I say, this isn't the time for you to be agitated. Your grandson has been captured. If you continue to be agitated, your grandson will lose his life. Sima Yue reminded. Who are you? Even if what you said is true, our Lien family has never known of such a person's existence. Who would go and capture him? Don't slander our Lien family. This crime isn't something you can bear. A man berated. And who are you? Cho Xiaotian asked. I'm Lien Yu's third brother, Lien Tian. That man said, you bunch of people of unknown origins. Just because you say that you have news of my big brother, you think it's true? We haven't known of this matter for so many years. How can we believe your one-sided words? An elder beside Lien Tian also opened his mouth to agree. Head, third young master is right. These people's origins are unknown. We can't just believe their one-sided words. Our Lien family has never kidnapped or killed the innocent. How can we allow them to slander us like this? In my opinion, we should capture them and wait for confirmation. No. Lien Yu's mother shouted, if my grandson's life is in danger, isn't waiting like this taking his life? Mother, do you really believe that big brother is dead? Lien Tian said, before Lienin died he said that big brother left by himself. He said that he was going to fly far away. You believe that big brother is dead the moment they come out? This. Lien Yu's mother was stunned. She looked at her husband and didn't know what to do. She didn't know if she should believe Sima Yue and the others. Sima Yue saw that they were skeptical and said, there's no one here now. You can choose not to believe. But what if I find him in your Lien family? If you can find him, we won't pursue the matter of you breaking into the Lien family and killing my guards. Lien Ju said. I don't think head Lien will deny anything. Sima Yue said confidently. Lien Tian thought for a moment and said, head Lien is magnanimous and allows you to enter our family to find him. However, we can't let you search forever. Otherwise, we won't be able to finish our search tonight. At most, we'll take half an hour. If you can't find him, you'll have to obediently let us deal with you. We don't need that long. Sima Yue looked at Lien Tian meaningfully. Cho Xiaotian looked at Sima Yue worriedly. Yue, the Lien family is so big. How will we know where little Lien is? Big brother Cho, don't worry. Have a way. Sima Yue said as she clapped her hands. Then please. Lien Ju said. Wait. Sima Yue said calmly as she wasn't in a hurry to enter. Cho Xiaotian saw that Sima Yue wasn't in a hurry. Then he looked at Bei Gongtang and the others and saw that they were calm as well. He could only wait anxiously at the side. The Lien family saw that Sima Yue wasn't going in yet. After all, their residence was huge. If they wanted to find him in half an hour, it would take at most 2 hours. After 10 minutes, Sima Yue still hadn't moved. The Lien family was getting angry. Was she playing with him? You still don't plan to go in? Elder Bai saw that Sima Yue still hadn't moved and was extremely curious. I'll be done soon. Sima Yue replied. Suddenly she saw something and smiled. She said to Sima Yue, you can go in now. Cho Xiaotian didn't know what Sima Yue was doing. She hadn't moved at all before and only went in now. Was there enough time? He saw a bee fly over and fly in front of Sima Yue for a while. Sima Yue pointed at one of the houses and said, You Lin there. Lien Tian saw where Sima Yue was pointing and his expression changed. Chapter 465. That's young Master Lien Tian's house. How could he be there? A man sneered. Whether or not he is there, won't we know once we find him? Sima Yue said, You Lin, go there. Okay. Sima Yue ordered the flying beast to fly towards the house. Lien Tian's face turned pale. He glanced at the leader of the guards, who immediately led the guards to block their way. Sima Yue turned around and looked at Lien Ju. Lien Ju waved his hands and the guards had no choice but to retreat. The flying beast brought everyone to the house. Even with their speed, they flew for 10 minutes. There were less than 10 minutes left. Yue, will Lil Lien really be here? Cho Xiaotian asked as he looked at the house. Trust me. Let's go in. Sima Yue said, Patriarch Lien, do you want to come in with us? Yes, of course. Elder Bai said. His gaze never left the scarlet bee on Sima Yue's shoulder. Then let's go. Sima Yue jumped down from the flying beast. Elders Black and White, Lian Ju, Lian Yu's mother and Lian Tian followed. Lian Yu's mother looked at Lian Tian with a complicated gaze. Her lips moved but she didn't say anything. She followed Sima Yue and the others into the house. Young master. A few servants came out of the house. When they saw the looks they gave him, Lian Tian relaxed. There is no Lian Hong here. You lied about my brother's death and made my mother sad. Now you want to frame me? He asked loudly. There really is no one here. Lian Ju said. They were all cultivators. Even if they didn't enter every house, they would know what was going on inside. Sima Yue smiled but didn't say anything. She walked into an unremarkable house. When she entered there was no one inside. There are 3 minutes left. An elder reminded from behind. Lian Tian's lips curled into a smile saying, How is it? I told you you are a bunch of liars. It was a pity that his smile didn't last long because he saw a bee on the wall. It was the same bee as the one on Sima Yue's shoulder. Why would there be bees here? She had come here after the bees had left. Now that the bees had appeared on the wall, her heart sank to the bottom. Under his horrified gaze, Sima Yue came to the side of the wall, stretched out her hand and pressed on the position of the bee. She exerted force and one side of the wall moved to the other side, revealing a dark room. In the dark room, Lian Hong lay unconscious on the ground. Little Lian. Cho Xiaotian hurriedly ran over and carried Lian Hong up. The face that was 70% similar to his own father appeared in front of everyone. You are. Lian Yu's mother shouted. She ran over and wanted to reach out to touch Lian Hong but she didn't dare. Sima Yue went forward and checked Lian Hong's body. Then she took out a jade bottle, opened the lid and placed it under his nose for him to smell. Ugh! Lian Hong smelled the odor and slowly woke up. When he saw Cho Xiaotian he weakly called out, Master. Seeing that Lian Hong had woken up, Cho Xiaotian heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Lian Ju and said, Master Lian, what do you say about this? Lian Ju's expression was very ugly. He looked at Lian Tian and waved his hand. 2 guards came forward and grabbed Lian Tian. Master. Lian Tian shouted. Go to the main hall. Lian Ju's face darkened and he left the courtyard after saying this. The guards took Lian Tian away and the others followed. Only Sima Yue and the others were left in the courtyard. Child? Lian Yu's mother lovingly touched Lian Hong's face. You are. Lian Hong looked at his grandmother in confusion. He had just woken up and was not very clear about what had happened tonight. I am your grandmother. Huan Anin said. Lian Yu's mother saw the familiar face and couldn't help but cry. You are my grandmother? Lian Hong looked at Huan Anin in surprise, then turned to Cho Xiaotian and said, Master, what is going on? At this time, a guard came over and said, Second madam, Master wants you to bring them to the main hall. I understand. Huan Anin wiped the tears off her face and said, I also want to know what is going on. Come with me to the main hall. Sima Yue looked at Cho Xiaotian. They didn't have any objections. Go. Cho Xiaotian said. From what happened tonight, he could see that it wasn't that the Fei family didn't care about Lian Hong all these years, but that they didn't even know about his existence. On the way to the main hall, Lian Hong found out about what happened tonight. He looked at Sima Yue and the others gratefully. Huan Anin also found out about what happened that year and how they had been hiding all these years. When they reached the main hall there were already many people inside. Lian Hong and Cho Xiaotian went in, but Sima Yue was stopped by 2 people before she could enter. Little girl, what kind of flame did you use tonight? What kind of bee is that? Can you show us your flame again? Can you show us the bee first? No, let's look at the flame first. Go away, let's look at the bee first. That's a rare flame. That bee might be the extinct scarlet bee. Let's look at the flame first. Let's look at the bee first. Let's look at it first. Sima Yue looked at the 2 elders who suddenly appeared and rubbed her forehead. She didn't care if they were elders from the Lian family and shouted, Stop right there. When the people in the main hall heard her, they all stopped. When they saw that she wasn't talking to them, they continued talking. Sima Yue looked at the 2 of them and said seriously, When did I say that I would show you the flame and the bee? Elder Black and Elder White looked at Sima Yue and said, You won't show it to us? Little girl, we can't do that. We won't be able to eat or sleep. What does that have to do with me? I'm not from the Lian family. Sima Yue crossed her arms in front of her chest. How can it have nothing to do with you? Elder White said, these things are all yours, so it has something to do with you. They're talking inside, let's go to the side and talk. Elder Black said as he grabbed Sima Yue's shoulder and brought her away. Four-Winged Rock wanted to chase after them, but Bei Gong Tang said, no need to chase after them, she'll be fine. 2 minutes later, Sima Yue was brought to a courtyard and Elder White came down. Little girl, tell us, what do we have to do for you to show us the flame and the bee? Elder Black went straight to the point. Sima Yue smiled. These two old fellows were really good. Actually, it's not impossible for you to see my things, but you have to promise me one thing. What is it? Elder White asked impatiently. Chapter 466. My request is very simple. If Lian Hong falls out with the Lian family, can you guarantee that we can leave the Lian family safely? Sima Yue asked. Elder Black and Elder White did not expect Sima Yue's request to be so simple. They thought that she would have a higher request. Just this request? Elder Bai asked. That's right. Sima Yue smiled and said, as long as you can guarantee our safety, I will show you my flames and bees. Alright, it's a deal. Now let's take a look at that flame. Sima Yue moved her finger and a wisp of flame appeared on her fingertip. Although it was only a wisp of flame, it increased the temperature of the surroundings significantly. This temperature is even higher than the godly fire we encountered last time. Elder Bai exclaimed. The temperature wasn't this high just now, was it? Sima Yue opened her left hand and a ball of flame appeared in her palm. She clasped her hands together and the two balls of flame fused together. The surrounding temperature dropped immediately. Flame fusion? Elder He looked at the flame in Sima Yue's palm in astonishment. He was so agitated that his entire body trembled. How can your flame fuse? It's simple. These are all my flames and they have the same aura. Naturally, there won't be an explosion when they fuse together. Sima Yue said. These flames are all yours? Elder Bai asked. What belongs to my contracted beast is naturally mine. Sima Yue moved her wrist and the flames disappeared. Ah, that's it? You only said to take a look, isn't that enough? Sima Yue glanced at him. What about the bees? Elder He asked. Sima Yue called out a scarlet bee. When Elder He saw the scarlet bee, his eyes lit up and he said excitedly, is this the legendary scarlet bee? Yes. Sima Yue said. Where did these scarlet bees come from? It was brought up from the continent below us. Sima Yue said. The lower continents? The Black and White clan elders were stunned. Could it be that the scarlet bees on the upper continents had already gone extinct, but the lower continents still had them? In fact, what they didn't know was that there were a few people in the central region who had scarlet bees, but there were very few of them. Hee little doll, how many scarlet bees do you have? Do you have any scarlet honey? Elder Bai chuckled. If you do, we're willing to exchange treasures for it. You want scarlet honey? Sima Yue looked at the two of them and thought of something. She smiled and said, I've collected some of this scarlet honey. You are the elders of the Lian clan and we are friends with Lian Hong. If Lian Hong becomes a member of the Lian clan, then you will naturally be my friend's elders. Not to mention exchanging with you, I can even give it to you. But if we become enemies, I won't give them to my enemies, right? Aren't you just trying to get Lian Hong back to the family? Elder Bai looked at Sima Yue. Just you wait. After saying that, he disappeared in a flash. Elder Bai, where did you go? The main hall. Elder Black said confidently. He knew his partner very well. Very quickly, Elder Bai returned. He looked at Sima Yue and said, it's done. Lian Hong has returned to the family. Tomorrow they will write his name into the family records. Sima Yue was speechless. This Elder Bai was too fast. No one else has any objections? In such a big family, there would definitely be people who would object, right? What's the use of their objections? As long as Elder Black and I say the word, there's nothing in the Lian clan that we can't do. Elder Bai said proudly. You two have such high statuses? Or do you two have higher seniority? Sima Yue couldn't help but look at the two of them. It was unbelievable that these two elders could influence the family's opinion. We are the Lian clan's patriarch's grandfather and third grandfather. They naturally have to listen to our words. Elder Bai said, look, we've already settled Lian Hong's matter. Sima Yue took out a 10-centimeter tall jade bottle and said, there's scarlet honey in here. Elder Bai and Elder Black opened the cork and a fragrant smell wafted out. Elder Bai said excitedly, this is the smell. I never thought that we would be able to smell this at this age. That's right. How nostalgic. Sima Yue listened to the two of them and asked curiously, "Have you seen scarlet bees before?" Elder Black closed the bottle and said with a reminiscing expression, "Back then, Elder Bai and I went to a small world. There, we met a group of scarlet bees and obtained some scarlet honey. It's a pity that we didn't bring some scarlet bees out. Back then we were still young and didn't know the value of scarlet bees. Otherwise, even if it was dangerous, we would have brought some out." Elder Bai continued, "Little girl, how many scarlet bees do you have?" Sima Yue looked at them and said, "A little. We'll use treasures to exchange with you. How about that?" Elder Bai said, "As long as it's within our means, we'll give it to you." Sima Yue looked at him and thought that the Lien family must have a lot of treasures. Should she take this opportunity to extort them? However, when she thought of Lien Hong, she decided not to be so black-hearted and said, "Since you know the value of these scarlet bees, I won't say too much. Just give me something of equivalent value. Alchemy, weapon refining, array formation, beast taming, anything is fine." Elder Black thought for a while and took out 2 boxes, one big and one small. Sima Yue opened the small box. There was a weapon refining material in the small box. Since it was kept so carefully, it must be of a high grade. In the big box was a medicinal herb. It was a snow ginseng that was more than 10,000 years old. When Elder Bai saw what Elder Black took out, he also took out 2 items. One was an earth-level lightning attribute technique and the other was an ancient pill recipe. When she saw the lightning attribute technique, Sima Yue's eyes lit up. The other 3 items were dispensable to her, but this lightning attribute technique was something she urgently needed. Now that she had lightning attribute spiritual energy in her body, she had not cultivated any spiritual techniques and had not been able to use the lightning attribute's power. Now that she had the lightning attribute technique, she would have another lethal weapon in the future. Furthermore, this was an earth-level spiritual technique. Coupled with the lightning attribute, its power could be imagined. "What do you think of these?" Elder Black asked. "Not bad." Sima Yue kept the items and called out 100 scarlet bees. When Elder Black and Elder Black saw so many scarlet bees, they were shocked. They had thought that getting 10 or 20 scarlet bees would be good enough. They did not expect Sima Yue to be so generous and give them so many. "Haha, you're our friend from now on. When we raise these scarlet bees, let's go for a drink." Elder White laughed. Sima Yue pursed her lips. "Drink with them?" Chapter 467. When Sima Yue arrived at the courtyard that the Lien family had prepared for them, it was already the next morning. Sima Yulin smelled the alcohol on her body and frowned. "You drank?" "Yeah, I drank a little with the 2 old guys." Sima Yue said, "How's Lien Hong?" "It's already settled." Sima Yulin said, "The Lien clan has acknowledged Lien Hong's identity and called him over early in the morning. They said that they were going to write his name into the family tree." "Where's Brother Cho?" "We went together. I'm going to rest for a while and then we'll discuss what to do next." "Where's my room?" Sima Yulin pointed to a room for her and she pushed the door open in a daze. The 2 old men dragged her to drink for the whole night, and changed the way they addressed her from little doll to little friend. In the end, the 2 old men were drunk and she was able to come back. Bei Gong Tang came out from the house. Seeing her like that, she shook her head and sighed, "This girl really thinks of herself as a man. Don't you know how to control yourself? Why are you drinking like this? Go and take care of her," Sima Yulin said. Ouyang Fei stood in the corridor with his arms crossed in front of his chest. He asked, "Does this mean we don't have to go to Innumerable Green City?" "I think so." Bei Gong Tang said, "The reason we went to Innumerable Green City was to send Lien Hong to a safe place. Now that he has returned to the clan, we naturally don't have to go anymore. Then let's wait for her to wake up before we discuss what to do next." Sima Yulin said and returned to his house. When Sima Yue woke up, it was already evening. She heard Cho Xiaotian and Lien Hong's voices. She got up from the bed and saw the kettle on the table. She picked it up and drank 2 big mouthfuls before opening the door and going out. Seeing her come out, Cho Xiaotian laughed and teased, "We were just talking about whether you would sleep until tomorrow. Am I really that good at sleeping?" She raised her eyebrows and walked towards the pavilion. She picked up a spirit fruit and started munching on it. "I heard you drank with those 2 old fellows the whole night. It didn't take long. I shook them off and came back. I can't even beat you in a 1 versus 2 situation. Are they too weak or are you too good at drinking?" Cho Xiaotian laughed. "Both." Sima Yue said bluntly, "But if I'm drinking with you, the innkeeper, then I'm not so sure. Then when should we drink?" Forget it then. Sima Yue rubbed her brows. She was still suffering from the aftereffects. By the way, Lian Hong, how are things with you? Lian Hong stood up and bowed towards Sima Yue. He said gratefully, thank you for asking Elder Bai to speak up for me. Otherwise, I'm afraid things would have been different. Some people in the family are not willing to let Lian Hong return to the family. Zhou Xiaotian said, those should be people who didn't have a good relationship with his father in the past. They said that his father had been expelled from the family, so naturally, his son was no longer a member of the family. Later on, Elder Bai came and directly said that Lian Hong should return to the family and enter the family records. Those people had nothing to say anymore. What about Lian Tian? You didn't say what you were going to do yesterday. Zhou Xiaotian said, Lian Tian has always known about little Lian Zi's existence. When Lianin returned, he was the one he saw. He knew that little Lian Zi was being hunted down, but he told the family that his father was fine and had flown far away. These few years, the Fei family's movements have also been suppressed by him using his status. Then why did he capture Lian Hong? Sima Yue did not understand. Maybe it's to get the things my father left for me. Lian Hong said. Lian Tian has some connections in the family. If they want to punish him, it'll depend on what the family head says. Zhou Xiaotian seemed to have thought of something. Yue, we originally wanted to send them to Innumerable Green City. Now that we're not going, are we going back? Bei Gongtang asked. We're not going. We'll go back in 2 days. Sima Yue said, Little Peng's situation is more urgent. Furthermore, we still have to go to Central State. Since Lian Hong has already returned to the family, we're just wasting time here. You're leaving? Lian Hong asked in shock. We originally came here to send you off. Now that you're safe, we naturally have to go back. Little Lian Zi, once you've settled down, Master will also be leaving. Zhou Xiaotian suddenly said. Master, you're leaving too? I was originally a disciple of a sect in Central State. I've already left for tens of years. It's time for me to go back and take a look. Zhou Xiaotian said with some regret. Lian Hong also knew how much Zhou Xiaotian had sacrificed for him. Tens of years of protection was not something that could be expressed with just a few words. Just as they were chatting, a four-winged roc walked in. Young master. What's wrong? Wang Gang just sent someone to deliver news. The four-winged roc paused for a moment and looked at Lian Hong and the others. Little Peng? What news? Another four-winged roc walked over and said to Sima Yue, Young master, this subordinate is Honor Roc. Not long after young master left, we received urgent news that the Goshawk King and the Fei family had colluded to deal with us and the Lian family. It said that the Goshawk clan has already left and are preparing to take action against the Lian family? Sima Yue was shocked. Is the news confirmed? Confirmed. Honor Roc said with certainty. Everyone's expression became very serious. The news about the Lian family had always been selectively concealed by Lian Tian. They were not on guard. If the Goshawk clan joined in, the Lian family situation could be imagined. I'll go tell the family head. Lian Hong stood up and was about to leave. Don't be in such a hurry. Zhou Xiaotian pulled Lian Hong back. Let's hear what Yue has to say. Did Little Peng say anything? Sima Yue asked. After the king heard the news, he sent me to inform young master. He also sent some people over. They're all gathered outside the city and will listen to young master's arrangements. If you want to cooperate with the Lian family, they will listen to young master's arrangements unconditionally. If young master doesn't want to cooperate with the Lian family, then these people will protect young master. The four-winged roc replied. Sima Yue's heart warmed. When Little Peng heard the news, he was probably worried to death. He couldn't come himself, so he could only send people to protect her. The Fei family and the Goshawk clan are colluding together. Sima Yue's fingers lightly tapped on the table. Those who knew her well knew what she was scheming. This Goshawk clan is really annoying. They want to ally with the Fei family to deal with Little Peng. If we ally with the Lian family and eliminate some of their strength, then it will be easier for us to deal with them later. Yue. Lian Hong looked at her expectantly. Sima Yue stood up and said, Let's go. We'll formally greet the Lian family head. After a while, the guard at the door of Lian Ju's study came in and said, Family head, the four-winged roc's young master and general honor request an audience. Lian Ju's eyes flashed with confusion. When did the four-winged roc clan have a young master? Chapter 468. The young master of the four-winged rocs, General Hirong? Please come in. Lian Zhao was puzzled, but his reaction was not slow. Yes. The guard went out and quickly led the two in. When Lian Ku saw Sima Yue, she cried out in surprise, "It's you?" Sima Yue smiled and cupped her hands at him, saying, "Thank you for your hospitality, Master Lian. So you're the young master of the Four-Winged Rock clan. What a surprise." Lian Zhu waved his hand, "Young Master Sima, General Rong, please sit." Sima Yue and General Rong walked to the side and sat down. "I have long heard of the four great generals of the Four-Winged Rocks. It is my honor to meet one of them, General Rong." Honor Rock nodded his head and said faintly, "Patriarch Lian is too kind." Honor Rock originally looked more resolute. He gave people the impression that he was an ice-cold handsome man. In addition to the arrogance of the Four-Winged Rocks, he gave people a feeling of arrogance. Lian Zhu was not angry at Honor Rock's attitude. Everyone knew about the arrogant temperament of the Four-Winged Rock. "May I know why General Rong is looking for me?" Honor Rock looked at Sima Yue and said, "I was ordered to protect young master." Lian Zhu was even more surprised. The four generals of the Four-Winged Rocks were very famous among both humans and beastmen. Not to mention protecting a human, they weren't even willing to come in contact with a human. Now he actually said that he was here to protect Sima Yue. Looking at his expression, it was obvious that he only cared about her. This was too shocking. "Young Master Sima, are you looking for me?" Sima Yue picked up the teacup that a maidservant had served to her, saying, "I heard that Lian Tian was the one who handled all the news regarding the Fei family." Lian Zhu thought that Sima Yue was concerned about Lian Hong, so he said, "Lian Tian was wrong to hide Lian Hong's information, but we haven't discussed how to deal with this. Patriarch Lian, you've misunderstood. I'm not here to talk to you about Lian Hong," Sima Yue interrupted her. "I'm here to talk about the Fei clan." "About the Fei clan?" "That's right." Sima Yue paused and said, "I heard that the Lian family and the Fei family have been at odds for a long time. Back then, Lian Hong's father abducted a young lady from the Fei family, causing the Fei family to chase after him. In the end, Lian Hong and the rest could only hide." "Young Master Sima is right, we have a long history with the Fei clan. But what does this have to do with young Master Sima?" Lian Zhu looked at Sima Yue. "Young Master Sima, are you thinking of acting as a mediator between our families?" Sima Yue shook her head and said, "We also have an irreconcilable conflict with the Fei family. I was previously on their bounty list." "Then Today, I'm here to inform Patriarch Lian that Fei Xie and the Goshawk clan have colluded and are preparing to attack the Lian family. Secondly, I'm here to discuss with you the possibility of the Four-Winged Rocks cooperating with the Lian family." Sima Yue said. Lian Zhu stood up in shock when he heard this. "Is this true?" "Patriarch Lian, you can ask the people in charge of investigating. Although they have reported the news to Lian Tian, it won't take much time for you to investigate," Sima Yue said calmly. "Men." An hour later, all the elders of the Lian family gathered in the meeting hall. When they heard that the Lian family was about to invade, they were all shocked. When they heard that Sima Yue was representing the Four-Winged Rocks to discuss cooperation with them, and that there were many Four-Winged Rocks outside the city, they were even more shocked. Would the Four-Winged Rocks cooperate with humans? They suspected that Sima Yue's words could not represent the Four-Winged Rocks, but after Honor Rock said that Sima Yue's words could represent them, they stopped doubting her. "You have a grudge with the Fei family and we want to clean up the Goshawk clan. Since they are colluding with each other, our current goals are the same." Sima Yue said, "Patriarch Lian, do you think the cooperation is feasible? From the news we just received from the Fei family, we don't know much about their strength. Now that they are colluding with the Goshawk clan, it is indeed a headache." An elder said, "That's right, if they want to deal with us, it will be difficult for us to resist." Another elder said, "If we can cooperate with the Four-Winged Rocks, the pressure on us will be lessened. But the cooperation between the two clans is such an important matter, can a human like you really make the decision?" Sima Yue smiled and said, "I can't make important or long-term decisions, but I can cooperate with you for a short term." "Short term?" "That's right." Sima Yue said, "There is a team of Four-Winged Rocks outside the city. I can't guarantee anything else, but those outside the city listen to my orders. We can help you get through this matter." "Since it's a cooperation, you won't help us for free, right?" An elder said. "Of course, I have my own conditions." Sima Yue said, "My request is simple, I want those goshawks to never return." "That's not a problem." "That's good. General Honor will tell you the specific strength of the team outside the city later, and discuss the battle plan with you." When Honor Rock heard Sima Yue say this, he thought that what King said was true. Before he came here, Little Rock told him that his master liked to be a hands-off boss, so no matter what decision she made, he would have to put in a lot of effort. Previously he thought that Little Rock was just being humble, but now it seemed that he was just stating facts. However, even if Little Rock didn't say anything as Crimson Flame's contracted master, they couldn't reject her words. Moreover, she was doing this for the four-winged rocks for King's safety. Sima Yue didn't participate in the discussion later on. She didn't understand the strength of the Lien clan and the four-winged rocks, so if she were to make decisions she would only be giving orders blindly. She left the meeting room and saw Lien Hong and Huan Anian's anxious figures, as well as a man she didn't recognize. "Yue, little friend, what's the situation inside?" Huan Anian asked anxiously. She knew that this matter was mainly because of Lien Tian. He hid a lot of information about the Fei clan, which caused the Lien clan to be in such a passive state. She didn't know if the clan would blame them. The Lien clan has decided to cooperate with the four-winged rocks, so this matter shouldn't be a problem. Sima Yue comforted. She glanced at the unfamiliar man. His aura was similar to Lien Ju's, but he was more powerful. This person had such an aura, but he didn't enter the meeting room to discuss matters. Where did he come from? Chapter 469. Hearing that the four-winged rock would cooperate with the Lien family, Huan Anian finally relaxed. Seeing Sima Yue looking at her sons, she said, "Let me introduce you. This is my second son, Lien Zhe, and this is Sima Yue. The innumerable green palaces, soaring cloud palaces palace master?" Sima Yue asked in surprise. "That's me. I heard that you saved my elder brother's son." "Thank you." Lien Zhe cupped his fists. Sima Yue did not expect Lien Zhe to become the soaring cloud palace master at such a young age. She guessed that he was either talented or capable. "Palace Master Lien is too polite." She smiled and said, "Why didn't you go inside to discuss matters?" "I can't go in." Lien Zhe said, "I am now the Palace Master of the Innumerable Green Palace. According to the rules of the Innumerable Green Palace, as long as one returned under their own name, they could not use the name of the sect to do things. If I want to interfere with the family's affairs, I have to go back to the sect and apply to the Hall Master." Was this to prevent disciples from using the name of the sect to do bad things? But this was too inhumane. However, this had little to do with her, so she didn't continue to pay attention to it. "Temple Master Lien, I have something to ask you. Is it convenient for you?" "As long as I can answer it for you, it's fine," Lien Zhe replied. Subconsciously he meant that he couldn't answer for you. Even if you asked, he wouldn't tell you. How could Sima Yue not understand what he meant? She smiled and said, "I'm sure you can answer my questions. Actually, I just want to ask, if we want to go to the central region, do we have to use the teleportation formation of the Innumerable Green Palace?" "Not necessarily." Lien Zhe said, "Actually, there are many sects in a prefecture that have teleportation arrays that can connect to other prefectures. It's just that the Innumerable Green Palace is relatively closer, and its teleportation array is the largest and most stable." "Then what are the conditions if I want to use the teleportation array?" "No need, you just need to pay a certain amount of crystal stones." Lien Zhe said, "If you want to use the teleportation array, I can give it to you for free. And there's no need to line up." "Line up?" "Because there are too many people who want to go outside, you have to queue up at least half a month in advance. If you go there directly you can't leave," Lien Zhe explained. "I see." Sima Yue said, "Then we might have to trouble Palace Master Lien." "Sure. I still have some things to do, so I'll go back first." Sima Yue said as she bowed to Huan Anian and Lien Zhe and left. When he returned to the courtyard, they were still in the pavilion. Seeing her return, Lien Hong asked, "How was it?" Honor Rock stayed behind to discuss the details with them. Sima Yue walked over and said, "You don't have to worry now." "Thank you very much," Lien Hong said gratefully. "Then we're not going back now?" Bei Gongtang asked. "Well, we'll go back after this matter is over." Sima Yue said, "We don't know their exact situation yet. Let's talk about it after the discussion." "All right." In the remaining time, everyone was cultivating and stabilizing their cultivation. Sima Yue gave everyone a rare crystal, so everyone went into closed-door cultivation for a while. After the discussion about the cooperation was done, Honor Rock reported the results to Sima Yue. When Sima Yue asked what they needed to do, Honor Rock only said that he hoped that the young master could take care of himself and not get hurt. Sima Yue thought about it. They were too weak now, so they really couldn't help much. If they went to the front lines to fight, they might be killed immediately. They would just be a burden to everyone. It was better to stay in the Lien clan and let them deal with it. When she thought about this, she couldn't help but sigh. Strength, she was really too weak now. It was no wonder that the people in the restless continent didn't dare to come up here even when they reached the divine rank. If they didn't have the opportunity to enter a sect as a lone cultivator, it would be very dangerous to walk around the primordial lands. It looked like their main task now was to cultivate. It wasn't just her. Sima Yulin, Bei Gong Tang and the others realized this as well. That was why everyone worked hard to cultivate, wanting to increase their strength as soon as possible. In less than half a month, the Fei clan and the Goshawk clan came to attack the Lien clan. Honor Rock left 2 clansmen to protect Sima Yue and brought the others to join the battle. Although the Fei clan and the Goshawk clan were well prepared, they didn't think that the Lien clan would receive the news in advance. They also didn't think that the 4 winged rocks would cooperate with the Lien clan and ambush them outside the city. That was why both sides fell into a bitter battle. That day, the Lien clan activated their protective array and the entire residence was covered in a faint ripple. Sima Yue and the others stood in the courtyard and heard the sounds of fighting coming from outside. Seeing the various spirit skills that were as dazzling as fireworks, their thirst for strength grew even stronger. The battle lasted for 2 whole days. When Lien Hong received the news, he would come and tell them. From him, they found out that the Lien clan had the upper hand from the very beginning. The Fei clan and the Goshawk clan didn't gain any advantages. Apart from a few people who tore through the void and left, the rest of them died here. Once the protective array was activated, Sima Yue and the others ran out and got the 2 4-winged rocks to bring them to the scene outside the city. It was a scene of devastation. The original mountain was gone and had turned into a pile of rocks. The originally flat area had become bumpy and full of scars left behind by the battle. She found Honor Rock first. Although his body was covered in blood, he was still in good spirits. It was obvious that the blood wasn't his. When he saw Sima Yue and the others coming over, he nodded. "Young master. How are the casualties?" Sima Yue asked. 4 clansmen died and many were injured. Fortunately, young master prepared some pills. Many of them who were close to death were saved. Honor Rock said. "What about the Goshawk clan?" "Aside from the 2 team leaders, the others are all here." Honor Rock pointed to the corpses on the ground. Sima Yue was satisfied with the results. Looking at the Goshawk corpses, she said, "Should we take some back to cook? Bird meat is delicious, especially roasted birds. Tastes great." "Let's not." Sima Yulin looked at the mountain of corpses and felt a little reluctant to eat. "Of course, why not?" Sima Yue said, "Those are spirit beasts. Don't you know that there is a benefit to eating spirit beasts?" "What benefit?" "Spirit beasts are rich in spirit energy. When we eat their meat, we can directly absorb their spirit energy into our own. This is much faster than eating spirit fruits and vegetables. Furthermore, these birds can be fried, braised, stewed and barbecued. Every way is delicious," Sima Yue said. In her past life, she had eaten many spirit beasts in the inner regions. She knew about this long ago. The 4-winged rocks that they were sitting on couldn't help but shiver. Why did he think of himself when she said those things? "Then let's do it," Ouyang Fei said. As such, under Sima Yue's instructions, the 4-winged rocks brought them around the battlefield to look for intact Goshawk corpses. Chapter 470. The Fei clan and the Goshawk clan had both suffered heavy losses in this battle. They wouldn't dare to attack the Lien clan for the time being. Moreover, Little Rock and the others cooperated with the battle here. When the Goshawks mobilized many of their clansmen to the Lien family, Little Rock brought the 4-winged rocks and a few other bird clans to raid the Goshawk clan's old nest. Goshawk King didn't expect Little Rock to act so quickly. In a short period of time, he had contacted several bird clans, catching them off guard. His original plan was to help the Fei family first before contacting his subordinates to overthrow Little Rock. Therefore, when Little Rock brought his people to destroy them, the difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great. It became a battle without any suspense. Once the Goshawk clan was defeated, the few bird clans that the Goshawk King had contacted before no longer dared to have any thoughts of resistance. They all came to pay their respects to Little Rock and bowed their heads to him. The matter that he thought would take a long time was resolved just like that. A few days later, Sima Yue received the news. At that time she was roasting bird meat. When she heard Honor Rock's report, she stared blankly for a moment. Then she smiled happily and said, "Come, let's have an extra meal today. Let's eat a bird feast. Then we're in for a treat today." Cho Xiaotian said cheerfully. After eating Sima Yue's dishes 2 days ago, he felt that all the food he had eaten in the past was wasted. This was what it meant to be delicious. Now that he heard Sima Yue talking about eating an all-bird banquet, he started drooling. When Honor Rock and the other 2 four-winged rocks first ate the goshawk meat, they felt a bit awkward. However, after tasting 2 mouthfuls, they fell in love with the taste and the feeling of a weak spirit force flowing through their bodies. Therefore, when they heard that there was an all-bird feast, they only felt uncomfortable for a while before joining the team. The bird feast was ready and everyone couldn't wait to dig in. Ouyang Fei gnawed on a 10th of the bird leg and said contentedly, "If Fatty and the others knew that we ate such delicious food, they would probably beat their chests and stomp their feet for a while." "I think so too." Bei Gong Tang thought of Fatty Chu beating his chest and stamping his feet and laughed. Cho Xiaotian and the others were fighting over the food happily. In the future, when he returned to the central region, he might not be able to eat such delicious food. Sounds of people fighting over food and laughter could be heard in the courtyard, making the guards and maidservants envious. 2 days later, Sima Yue and the others bid farewell to the Lien clan. They found an open space outside the city and spent a day setting up a one-time use teleportation array. Just as everyone stood in the teleportation array and was about to inject their spiritual energy to activate the array, Sima Yue heard something. Her hand paused and the spiritual energy that she had just gathered dissipated. "What's wrong?" Bei Gong Tang asked. Sima Yue walked out of the array and said, "We don't have to leave. Little Rock and the rest have already reached Tai City." After everyone came out of the array, Sima Yue collected the materials for setting up the array. It took an entire day to set it up but only half an hour to put it away. She had just finished tidying up when Little Rock brought Sima Lai and the others over. "Master. 5th brother. Yue. Beigong." When they saw Sima Yue and the others, Fatty Chu waved at them from Little Rock's back. Once everyone came down, Little Rock transformed into a little golden bird and pounced on Sima Yue. "Master, Little Rock missed you so much. You're already the king of rocks, yet you're still acting like a spoiled child." Sima Yue stretched out a hand and flicked Little Rock's head. Little Rock thought of his own identity and turned back to look at the 4-winged rocks who had followed them. He sighed in his heart and got off Sima Yue's back and transformed into his human form. "What are you all doing here?" Sima Yue asked when she saw that everyone had come. "The main thing has already been settled. The remaining things have been handed over to Wind Rock and the others to settle. Little Rock wanted to be the king and said that he wanted to return to your side. So we followed along." Sima Yuran explained. "You're not going back?" Bei Gong Tang asked in surprise. "We're not going back." Little Rock said, "I've already gotten Wind Rock and the other 2 elders to settle those things. I didn't really like it in the first place, so it's better to roam the world with Master." "Then what about them?" Sima Yue asked 9th Rock and the others who had followed along. "Mother and the elders said that my identity was noble. Since I wanted to leave, they had to send people to protect me. Mother brought them along." Little Rock said helplessly, "I thought that it wouldn't be a problem to just throw them into the Spirit Pagoda, so I agreed. Master, don't worry. They already have a subordinate contract with me. They will definitely spread the news of the Spirit Pagoda." Sima Yue understood that with Little Rock's identity, he would definitely be targeted by the other clans. He would still need someone to protect him when he left the clan. Furthermore, she was weak now. It would be best if there was someone to protect him. "Since that's the case, you can bring them into the Spirit Pagoda," Sima Yue said as she brought everyone into the Spirit Pagoda. 9th Rock and the tens of transformed rocks who had followed along were all of high ranks and could be considered to have seen a lot. Even so, they were still shocked by the sudden change in scenery. Little Rock immediately went to explain to them that this was where they would be living in the future. He then brought them around for a tour. At a mountain peak not far from the living area, 9th Rock and the others saw Crimson Flame. The tens of them hurried over to greet him. Crimson Flame knew that they were here to protect Little Rock and would be living here in the future. He nodded lightly and did not say anything. He closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. Ever since Sima Yue was injured by Wind Rock, he did not enter deep slumber to recover. Instead, he cultivated in the Spirit Pagoda in case something like the last time happened again. Sima Yue and Sima Lai and the others rested together. They talked to each other about what happened after they separated. After that, they decided to let Fatty Chu and the others continue to stay in the Spirit Pagoda so that others would think that they did not come. Brother Yue, last time a bird king said that it smelled a familiar scent on me. Little two said, it said that I might be related to a spirit clan in the central region. Sima Yue was stunned. She thought of the spirit beast bloodline in Little Two's body and asked, do you know what race it is? Golden-eyed ape. The spirit beast bloodline in Little Two's body was actually the golden-eyed ape? Sima Yue was incomparably shocked. This was because the golden-eyed ape was a descendant of an ancient spirit beast. Its status among the spirit beasts was comparable to the phoenix race. In the central region, no one dared to provoke it. Furthermore, they were extremely repulsive towards humans. How could they have children with humans and even wander to the Yilin continent to form a clan? If they knew of Little Two's existence, who knew what kind of reaction they would have? However, she guessed that the possibility of them not acknowledging him was higher. Furthermore, with their arrogant temperament, they would probably kill Little Two to erase the stain of their race. She had already made up her mind. As long as she was not sure of the golden-eyed ape's attitude, she would not let Little Two come into contact with them. Chapter 471. Sima Yue stayed in the Spirit Pagoda for half a day before bringing Sima Yulin, Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei out. The others stayed in the Spirit Pagoda to cultivate. They returned to the Lien clan and were surprised to see them return. When they found out that they were looking for Lien Zhe, they said that he had left the Lien clan to return to the innumerable Green Palace not long after Yu left. Chou Xiaotian and Lien Hong were with him. Chou Xiaotian was going to the innumerable Green Palace to use the teleportation array to return to Central Province. Lien Hong was going to follow Lien Zhe to the innumerable Green Palace to cultivate and become a disciple. Without a choice, they could only go to the city lord's residence and use the teleportation array to rush to the innumerable Green City. Because Lien Zhu was personally bringing them over, there was no need to queue. He immediately arranged a teleportation array for Yu Yu and the others. Before they left, Lien Zhu expressed his wish to visit the Lien clan in Grand City in the future. The teleportation array was activated and the four of them quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. The city lord rushed over after receiving the news and only saw the light of the teleportation array after Sima Yue and the others left. Old Lien Yu came personally to send them off. Who is that? The city lord asked curiously. The person who helped my Lien clan get through this crisis will definitely be someone who will cause the primordial lands to tremble. Lien Zhu sighed as he walked out. Is he really that powerful? Hey old Lien, tell me. The city lord of Grand City said as he chased after him. When Yu Yu and the others reached the innumerable Green City, Lien Zhe and the others had already returned to the innumerable Green Palace. They could only find an inn to stay in. While Sima Yue was resting, Bei Gong Tang and the others went outside to scout for news. When they came back, they told her that the innumerable Green Palace was heavily guarded. It would be troublesome to look for Lien Zhe. However, the teleportation array was not very strict. As long as they paid, they could go and queue up. Bei Gong Tang and the others went to pay 100 middle-ranked crystals and received a number plate. The date on it was actually 20 days from now. As a result, they had to stay here for 20 days. They were not in a rush, so they did not mind waiting. After sleeping for 2 days, Yu Yu dragged the three of them to walk around the streets. She heard that there was good food here and wanted to try it, so she asked for directions. They were lucky and happened to come across the last private room. It was said that someone had booked it before but didn't want it, so it had just been vacated. Yue, look, there's also a Xianyuan pavilion here. It looks rather stylish from the outside. Bei Gong Tang said as she looked at the shop across the street. The waiter happened to be serving them tea. Hearing her sigh, he said, this Xianyuan pavilion was opened by people from the central regions. They have a strong foundation. Their status was even higher than that of the innumerable Green Palace. It was just that they kept a lower profile. There are a lot of things there. If you have time, you can take a look around. Especially the auction venue, it's very impressive. How do you know we haven't been there? Yue took a sip of the tea. The tea was not bad. You all look unfamiliar and you're sighing over the Xianyuan pavilion. This isn't the first time we've encountered such a situation. I can tell at a glance that you're new to innumerable Green City. The waiter said, your tea is ready. Please enjoy. The food will be served soon. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. If you need anything, just pull this bell. He pointed to a bell behind the door and then left. Yue continued to look at the people going in and out of the Xianyuan pavilion, saying, no wonder the Xianyuan pavilion below is more impressive than the royal family. It turns out that they have this kind of background. I don't know what's the difference between the Xianyuan pavilion above and below. Anyway, we have nothing to do. Why don't we take a look after we're done eating? Bei Gongtang said. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. I wonder if your card is useful up there. Ouyang Fei was more curious about this. It shouldn't be. The difference between the people below and the people above is too big. The standards should be different. Bei Gongtang guessed. We'll know if we can go or not. Sima Yue said with a smile. She was not curious about this at all. There was a knock on the door. A waiter said that he was here to serve the food. After receiving a response, he came in and said, "Dear guests, we've served the food." There were 5 or 6 people behind him. Each of them carried a tray in and placed the dishes on the table before leaving one after another. "Dear guest, your dishes have been served. Please enjoy." The waiter left after speaking and closed the door behind him. 4 people, 7 dishes. In the past it did not seem like much. However, in a restaurant like this, it was a little extravagant. Bei Gongtang tasted it and said, "The taste is not bad. It's not a waste of the price. The cooking method is a little special. I've never eaten this before." Ouyang Fei said. "It's really good." Sima Yulin agreed. "Yu, why aren't you eating?" Bei Gongtang asked when she saw Sima Yue staring at the dishes in a daze. Sima Yue smiled and said, "It's nothing. Since it's delicious, I'll eat more. I don't usually get to eat this kind of thing." After speaking, she lowered her head and picked up a spirit chicken wing and began to eat. What a familiar taste. Someone had once said, "Yu, since you like to eat so much, how about I make 2 dishes for you in the future?" After a long time, that person ran over excitedly with a dish. Honey-glazed chicken wings. She had eaten a lot of it on Earth, but it was her first time eating it in this world. Just now, when they were ordering, they only said 7 signature dishes. Who would have thought that one of them would be honey-glazed chicken wings? So many years had passed. Was that person still well? Would he be sad when he found out about her death? Thinking about the past, she did not know whether she was eating the chicken wings or her past memories. "What did you say? Our private room has been used by others?" A spoiled female voice came from outside. It seemed to be coming towards Yu's room. "Young Miss Ya, I'm really sorry. You sent someone to say that the private room was cancelled, so we gave it to other guests. Now that the guests are eating inside, we can't go in and disturb them." The waiter's voice sounded humble, but Sima Yue did not hear any fear. "We thought that something happened, so we sent someone to say that the private room was cancelled. However, nothing happened to us in the end, so we naturally have to use the private room." The lady said. "Young Miss Ya, how about this? How about I arrange another private room for you? This is the private room that we just vacated." "No, I want this room. You know that I only like this room. I don't want anything else." The lady said. "That's right. You know that junior sister Xia only booked this private room every time she came. Why did you arrange another one?" A man echoed, "We're going to eat in this private room today. You can ask those people to leave." "I'm afraid that's not good." "What's not good about it? Do you want to offend us?" Sima Yue frowned and put down the chopsticks in her hand. She could not stop the cold air from seeping out of her body. Chapter 472. Bang! The door opened and 3 men and a woman walked in. When they saw Sima Yue and the rest, they said, "We want this private room. Leave quickly." Sima Yue sneered and said, "This is our private room. Why do we have to leave?" "You dare to talk back?" The man in white looked at Sima Yue. "Do you know who we are? You'd better leave before our patience runs out. Otherwise you'll have to bear the consequences. Hurry up and leave. We'll pay for this meal. Hurry up and leave. We didn't order much, so we don't have to take everything." Sima Yue said, "If you really want this private room, then wait outside. We'll give it to you when we're done." "What did you say?" Those people heard her words and shouted. No one had ever dared to talk to them like this. "Do you know who we are? How dare you be so rude?" A blue-clothed man said with a dark expression. Sima Yue glanced at them and saw the insignia on their clothes. She said calmly, "Aren't you guys from the innumerable Green Palace?" "What? Do you think the people from the innumerable Green Palace can be unreasonable and bully others?" Her voice was very soft, but it gave people the feeling that she was looking down on them from a high position. The sarcasm in her words was obvious. "You guys forcefully used our private room. We're just here to seek justice," said the only woman on the other side. "Miss, your ability to distort black and white is really good. I just don't know if you're also like this when you're cultivating?" Sima Yue did not even look at her. She said to the waiter, "Is your boss here?" "Our manager is downstairs," the waiter replied. "I'm asking Chinamo," Sima Yue said. When the waiter heard Sima Yue's words, his expression changed slightly. However, he quickly regained his composure and said, "I don't know about this either. You'll have to ask the shopkeeper." "Then go and call the shopkeeper up." "Sir, please wait a moment." The waiter winked at the people outside the door and someone immediately went downstairs. Sima Yue finished the juice in the glass and spun the glass in her hand. The shape of this cup was similar to the ones on Earth. He had once made some as a gift, and that person copied them and used them in the restaurant. Because it was cute, it was borrowed by others. Therefore, when she first saw this, she didn't pay much attention to it. Thinking about the past, the cup slipped from his hand and rolled onto the table, revealing the name of the restaurant at the bottom. Memory Restaurant. She gently stroked those 3 words with her fingertips. She felt her nose sour and her eyes reddened slightly. Sima Yulin, Bei Gong Tang and the others didn't know what was going on with her. She was only like this when she advanced to the divine rank. They still remembered the sorrowful aura she had exuded at that time. "Hey, we asked you to leave, did you hear us?" Xia Yingying scolded loudly when she saw that Sima Yue and the rest were ignoring her and even spacing out. Sima Yue looked at her coldly, saying, "We're not in the mood to care about you. If you don't want to lose face, leave quickly. We don't believe that there's someone who doesn't give us face." The white-robed man said, "I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't leave, we'll attack. 3, 2, 1. After the 3 counts, Sima Yue and the rest still didn't move. The white-robed man rolled up his sleeves and walked towards them. Bang dash! Sima Yulin sent him flying with a kick. The other 2 men saw that Sima Yulin had attacked and shouted, "You dare to hurt our innumerable Green Palace's disciple. You're looking to die." The 2 of them took out their weapons and were about to attack when suddenly, a strong aura enveloped the entire room. The 2 men's spirit energy dissipated. "Stop, stop." The innkeeper came in from outside and the aura disappeared. The people in the room regained their freedom. "What are you doing?" The innkeeper looked at Xia Yingying and the others and scolded them. "Memory Restaurant's rules state clearly that you cannot use spirit energy in the restaurant. Are you looking down on our rules?" Xia Yingying and the others looked at the innkeeper and felt their hair stand on end. However, they were all disciples of the innumerable Green Palace and had never been treated like this before. Their temper flared up as they said, "Innkeeper, what do you mean by this? We've been beaten up in your place and you're still protecting them? Are you looking down on our innumerable Green Palace?" When the innkeeper heard what she said, his expression turned ugly as he said, "Our rules are not broken even by your innumerable Green Palace." "Innkeeper, you sure talk big." Xia Yingying said angrily, "My innumerable Green Palace is a great sect. Your memory restaurant has only been open for 10 years. How dare you compare to us? For a restaurant like yours, even if we destroy it today, you can only watch. Innumerable Green Palace, you sure talk big. Then let's see if you can destroy us today." The innkeeper sneered. "Although we've only been open for 10 years, we came from the central regions. If you want to destroy us, then show me what you've got. I know you're the daughter of a palace master. However, you don't have the right to destroy us. Go back and call your father. Send our guests out." The innkeeper waved his hand and 2 divine sect members suddenly appeared. He said to Xia Yingying and the others, "Are you going to leave on your own or do you want us to throw you out?" Facing 2 divine sect members, no matter how unwilling they were, Xia Yingying and the others could only leave in anger. If they were thrown out, then they'd lose a lot of face. Sima Yue didn't think that the innkeeper would immediately chase Xia Yingying and the others away. It seemed like they didn't submit to the innumerable Green Palace's name. The innkeeper waited for Xia Yingying and the others to leave before turning around and cupping his hands towards Sima Yue and the others. He smiled and asked, "Is there something you need from me? I wanted to ask if your boss, Chinamo, is currently in the outer regions?" Sima Yue asked. The innkeeper was also stunned. The boy asked, "Does young master know my boss?" "We're friends." Sima Yue said, "So I wanted to ask if he's here so that I can pay him a visit." "I'm really sorry. Boss usually doesn't come here. He's only come here twice these past few years." The innkeeper said. "So it's like that." Sima Yue said a little dejectedly. Then she laughed at herself. If he was really here, did she really have to go and meet him? "Yue, what's wrong?" Bei Gong Tang couldn't help but ask when she saw Sima Yue like this. "Nothing." Sima Yue shook her head. Then she said to the innkeeper, "We're fine. Then we'll take our leave first." The innkeeper looked at Sima Yue suspiciously. He waved his hand at the waiter and the 2 of them left together. Half an hour later they paid the bill and left. The waiter came up to clear the table. When he saw the watermark on Sima Yue's seat, he hurriedly called the innkeeper over. When the innkeeper saw the watermark, he cried out in shock, "This isn't this. Quick, quick, go and report this to the central regions." Chapter 473. Sima Yue did not know that the picture she drew with water had caused such a huge commotion after she left. She had drawn it by accident when she was reminded of her past life. At this time, the four had already left the restaurant and went to the Xianyuan pavilion. As soon as they entered, they were immediately served by the shop assistant. The shop assistant took them around the upper and lower floors. In the end, they only chose some materials for engraving one-time arrays. Ouyang and Beigong chose 2 herbs for alchemy. "That's a total of 1,000 mid-grade crystals," the clerk said after settling the bill. Sima Yue felt the pinch. In the past, she had been using the array stones prepared by the Sima family. She had never bought it herself. Now she felt that the array stones were really expensive. "May I ask if the crystal card obtained from the continent below is useful here?" The clerk was taken aback and said, "That depends on what card it is. Can you show me your card?" Sima Yue took out the blue card. The shop assistant took it and looked at it, saying, "The blue card is the highest grade card in the lower continent, but it is the lowest grade card here. However, we can still give you a 5% discount." "Let's settle the bill then," Sima Yue said as she took out another crystal card. He didn't think that the card could still be used here, but the level drop was quite severe. "That's a total of 950 mid-grade crystals. Please wait a moment." The clerk took the crystal card and the blue card and went to make the payment. When the person in charge saw the card, he said in astonishment, "This card is a Yilin Continent membership card." Everyone in the house looked over and said curiously, "How many years has it been since someone came to the Yilin Continent? Now that someone has come up, it's really strange. People who come from the Yilin Continent usually don't do well. This person can still come here to buy things. Looks like he's doing pretty well. Didn't Little Miss and Little Young Master go to the Yilin Continent a few years ago? I think they came back a few years ago? I've been back for a few years. I heard that they recently left the Central Region and went to the Central Region to host the auction next month. Young Miss and Young Master are both quite capable. In the future they will most likely take over our Xianyuan pavilion." "Not necessarily. Didn't they say that there are 2 other young masters competing with them?" "Hee, if they can successfully hold the auction in the Central Region, then this matter will be different. Even if those people want to, there's nothing they can do." The person who spoke first took out the spirit stones from the crystal card and handed them to the shop assistant. "All right, quickly take them out for the customer." "Okay." The shop assistant took the crystal card and the membership card and went out. Sima Yue and the others waited for a while before the shop assistant came out. She wrapped up the crystal and blue cards as well as the items they bought, and handed them to them, saying, "Please take them." Sima Yue kept the items in her space ring and the 4 of them left. They were about to return to the inn when they were stopped by someone. "Stop." Sima Yue looked at the person who was blocking her and said, "Move aside." Xia Yingying crossed her arms in front of her chest and stood in the middle of the men. "Move aside? You beat up my innumerable Green Palace's men and now you want us to move aside?" This was originally a bustling street. When the surrounding people heard this, they all looked over curiously. There were actually people who dared to beat up the innumerable Green Palace's men? Their guts were too big. "You're talking about how you wanted to snatch our private room and were thrown out of Memory Restaurant?" Sima Yue looked up and explained the situation clearly in 2 sentences. The surrounding people immediately understood. These people had tried to snatch someone else's private room and were beaten up and thrown out of the restaurant. Xia Yingying's expression changed, saying, "You still dare to speak nonsense? Men, capture these 4 and bring them back to me." Yes, young Mississippi, the 8 of them surrounded her. It was obvious that they were the helpers she had just found. "If you're not afraid of losing face, then we'll help you." Sima Yue took out Ling Long, which had turned into a whip. Bei Gong Tang and the other 2 also took out their weapons and waited. Out of the 8 people, 6 were divine kings and 2 were divine kings in the middle. With the strength of the 4 of them, it would be difficult to fight them. "Do you think that we'll be beaten up by you here? Beat them up first, then capture them back," Xia Yingying ordered. Sima Yue did not wait for the other party to make a move. She wrapped her whip around one of the people's neck and swung it forcefully. That person was thrown out and landed heavily on the ground. Bei Gong Tang and the others also moved and attacked the people closest to them. These few years they had trained their bodies with Sima Yue and learned how to fight in close quarters. When fighting with so many people, choosing to fight in close quarters was the most advantageous. They could get rid of 4 people before they could prepare. Now they only needed to deal with the remaining 4 people. Now, there were only 2 divine kings in the middle and 2 divine kings in the beginning. They were slightly higher ranked than them, but it was not difficult to deal with them. This was because Bei Gong Tang and the other 2 all had the ability to fight above their ranks. Fights like this were very common here. In this kind of place, the buildings all had automatic defense arrays. Once someone started fighting, the arrays would automatically activate and protect the buildings from being damaged. Sima Yue's whip was like a gust of wind. Every time it hit someone, it would burn their clothes. The other party had no choice but to divert part of their attention to defend. Just as Sima Yue was about to defeat the other party, a leopard formed from spiritual energy pounced towards her. She had no choice but to change the direction of her whip. She gave up on her opponent and attacked the leopard formed from spiritual energy. Don't be so arrogant. Watch how we deal with you. The black-clothed man from the restaurant said. He was also a divine king in the middle. When he saw that the people he called were unable to deal with Sima Yue and the others, he personally took action. This was a battle between spirit masters. Before they used their spiritual energy, their battle power was not high. However, once they used their spiritual techniques, it would be troublesome to deal with them. Furthermore, this leopard was of the metal attribute. It looked like an iron leopard. Normal attacks were completely useless. Sima Yue was rather surprised by this iron leopard. Most of the time, metal attribute spirit skills would transform into weapons. This spirit beast transformation was rather rare. However, this kind of spirit beast transformation was much better than a weapon transformation. This was because spirit beasts would have a little more awareness to attack. The flames on the whip could only leave a mark on the leopard's body. It could not melt it. Roar dash, the leopard pounced towards her. She leaned back and dodged it. However, a ball of flames attacked her from the other side. She spun twice to the side to dodge it. At the same time, she threw the whip in her hand over. It just happened to wrap around the leopard's neck. Roar dash, the leopard stretched out its claws wanting to break the whip. However, how could it break Ling Long? Sima Yue saw that normal flames were useless against the leopard. She secretly injected a little of crimson flames. The leopard immediately turned into spiritual energy and dissipated into the air. Chapter 474. Ha! Just as the iron leopard was scattered, a long spear shot towards her. She hurriedly waved her whip and sent it flying. However, the spear circled in the air and stabbed towards Sima Yue. No matter where she was, the spear could find her as if it had eyes. This was also the white-robed man's weapon, a low-grade divine artifact. Because he had refined it, it was completely under his control. He didn't need to hold it to attack people. Go! Sima Yue threw Ling Long out. Ling Long immediately started fighting with the spear in the air. Although she did not refine Ling Long, it was still a spiritual weapon. As long as it recognized its master, their minds would be connected. Without her control, Ling Long would be able to attack as it pleased. It would be more flexible and its attack power would be stronger than when it was in her hands. Sima Yue looked at the black-clothed man. He didn't speak much and gave off a rather cold feeling. She never thought that he would actually have a low-ranked divine artifact on him. It seemed like his position in the innumerable green palace wasn't low. She formed a seal with both hands and a steel blade formed in front of her. Under her control, it attacked the black-robed man. The black-clothed man was controlling his own divine artifact and did not have the energy to receive her attack. He would either have to give up control of the divine artifact or be injured by the steel blade. Clang! A long sword flew over from the side and scattered all the steel sabers before flying back to Xia Yingying's hand. Another low-grade divine artifact. I didn't expect you to have some skills. No wonder you dare to go against my innumerable green palace. Xia Yingying looked at Sima Yue and said, but how can you compare to us? Green-eyed tiger, come out and tear them apart. A green-eyed tiger appeared in front of everyone. Its aura was that of a second-rank sacred beast. Sima Yue knew that in the primordial lands, it was rare for the younger generation to have a sacred beast above level 2. Because they were not strong enough, contracting a sacred beast would harm one's spiritual power and affect one's future development. Xia Yingying actually had a second-level sacred beast, which meant that her spiritual power was not low. 1,000 resonants, come and play with them. Sima Yue said. The moment 1,000 resonants appeared, the people on the street gasped in astonishment. The other party also had a second-level sacred beast. They knew that Xia Yingying was the daughter of the innumerable Green Palace's branch palace master. She was also an alchemist, so her position in the younger generation of the innumerable Green Palace was not low. Not long ago, the news of him being bestowed as second-level sacred beast had caused quite a stir in the innumerable Green City. So when they saw her call out the green-eyed tiger, no one was surprised. But what was the background of her opponent? He looked so young, but he also had a second-level sacred beast. Could it be that he was a genius descendant of some great power? Once the two sacred beasts came out, they began to fight. The green-eyed tiger's strength was about the same as Thousand Resonances, but in terms of bloodline, it was much weaker. Thus, it was not Thousand Resonances' opponent. Bang! Bang! The black-robed man's long spear fell to the ground, and the green-eyed tiger was also beaten to the ground by Thousand Resonance. He lost so quickly. That fox is stronger than that tiger. Aren't they all second-level sacred beasts? How could they lose so quickly? Someone did not understand. That fox's bloodline is definitely higher than that tiger's. With the suppression of the bloodline, it was no match for the fox, someone explained. Its bloodline is actually higher than the tiger's? Who is this person? He actually has a contracted beast with such a bloodline. Could it be that he's a disciple of some great sect? No matter how big the sect is, can it be bigger than the innumerable Green Palace? Maybe he's from another state. That's possible. Xia Yingying saw that her contracted beast had lost so quickly and was shocked. She quickly ran over to check on its injuries. What happened? A group of people walked over from the corner of the street. The person in the lead saw the innumerable Green Palace disciples on the ground and frowned. Senior Huang. Xia Yingying stood up and pointed at Sima Yue and the rest, saying, "They bullied my innumerable Green Palace and even injured our fellow disciples." Huang Qingwen looked at Thousand Resonance, who was beside Sima Yue, and said, "A second-level sacred beast, no wonder you're so arrogant. Injuring my innumerable Green Palace disciples, no matter what the reason is, you should be captured and punished." After he finished speaking, a second-level sacred beast appeared beside him. Sima Yue saw that Ouyang Fei was injured and said with a black face, "Is there no one in your innumerable Green Palace that's reasonable? Bullying others with numbers? Round after round, ganging up on others and ambushing them. You guys are really bringing glory to your innumerable Green Palace. You guys are really shameless. I used to think that the innumerable Green Palace was a righteous sect, but now it seems like it's just that. Chongming, come out." Chongming came out and the surrounding people sucked in a breath. This person actually had a sacred beast. And it was a third-level sacred beast. Are they all dead? Chongming asked. Sima Yue was silent for a few seconds, then said, "Forget it, we're still in their territory. If we kill them, I'm afraid there will be trouble in the future. Just make sure they don't get in our way." "All right." Chongming waved his hand lightly, then said, "All right. Let's go." Sima Yue said. The few of them left, and Xia Yingying and the rest did not stop them at all. They just watched as they left the street. The others were puzzled, but one of them saw the clues and cried out in shock, "They've been frozen." How did they get frozen? Spatial binding. Memory Restaurant's shopkeeper said. After he finished dealing with the watermark, he heard the sounds of fighting outside and came out to take a look. He did not expect it to be them. Spatial binding? Everyone swallowed their saliva. He had just waved his hand lightly, and all these people were under his control. A second-level sacred beast and a third-level sacred beast. Just what is that person's background? No matter what his background is, with this move of his, the innumerable Green Palace will not dare to casually deal with him. They have to consider it carefully. An elder from Xian Yuan Pavilion said and walked back. The commotion was over and there was nothing left to see. Just as Sima Yue and the rest turned the corner, Chongming waved his hand again and the innumerable Green Palace members regained their freedom. However, they all sat on the ground, their clothes drenched in cold sweat and their eyes filled with fear. Sima Yue and the rest returned to the inn that they were staying in. Ouyang Fei had eaten a pill and was much better now. The wound on his arm had also scabbed over. "You're all tired today. Go and rest," Sima Yue said and returned to her room. The few of them exchanged glances. Finally, Sima Yulin said to Bei Gong Tang, "Go and see her." You all go and rest first," Bei Gong Tang said as she went to Sima Yue's room. She knocked on the door and entered after getting a response. The moment she entered, she saw Sima Yue sitting at the table, playing with the cup that she had used in Memory Restaurant. Chapter 475. Why aren't you resting? Sima Yue raised her head to look at Bei Gong Tang before lowering her head to continue playing with the cup. I came to see you. Bei Gong Tang walked over and sat down. What happened to you today? Nothing. Sima Yue shook her head. Bei Gong Tang stretched out her hand and pressed down on the cup, saying, Originally, we didn't plan to ask you. We thought that you might tell us. But your situation doesn't seem right. Last time he collapsed after advancing to God rank. Today he's giving off a sorrowful vibe, so we can't help but ask. What's wrong with you? If there's anything, just tell us. We'll share it with you. Some things can't be changed even if you say it out loud, Sima Yue said. I thought so too at that time, but what did you say? In the Puluo mountain range, you told me that no matter what happened in the past, no matter what we will encounter in the future, we are now together. We are comrades who have fought side by side. We are people who can entrust our backs to each other. If we want to talk, we will always be there. We've lived together for so many years and experienced so much together. We've already treated each other as family. What else is there that we can't say? Bei Gong Tang said, No matter what happens, we will always be together with you. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gong Tang's resolute gaze and remained silent for a while. She sighed and said, The two of you can come in too. Ouyang Fei and Sima Yulin came in without the awkwardness of being caught eavesdropping. With her divine senses, she naturally knew that they were outside. You're all curious today. I've lived in the Yilin continent since I was young. How did I know that China Mo is the owner of Memory Restaurant? Yue asked. We're a little curious. Bei Gong Tang said, but we're more worried about why you're suddenly emitting such a sorrowful aura. Sima Yue touched the words at the bottom of the cup and said, Do you believe that the soul can be reborn after death? When they heard what she said, Sima Yulin and the others looked at her in shock, unable to speak. You mean you? Sima Yue nodded and said, Just as you think, I was from the primordial lands in my previous life. After I was killed, my soul entered this body and became Sima Yue. What about the original soul? Dead. When she was 14, she was beaten to death by Murong An's men, Sima Yue said. Before she died, she pulled me into her body and made me her. No wonder when we met you, you were different from the rumors. Ouyang Fei sighed. My soul was injured when I died in my previous life, so I forgot everything about my previous life. When I advanced to God level, my soul was repaired, allowing me to regain my memories. Sima Yue continued, That was also the reason why I broke down. Did you die a horrible death in your previous life? You could say that. However, I'm not sad because I died. Rather, it's because of me, my entire clan was exterminated. My clansmen were killed one after another in front of my eyes, and one house after another turned into a sea of fire before my eyes. My parents were killed in order to let me and my brother leave. Before my mother died, she gently said that she didn't blame me. If I survive, don't think about revenge. Live happily. And because of me, my brother let his spirit beast fly away with me, while he ran back to block the pursuers. Sima Yue closed her eyes and covered her face with her hands, tears quietly falling. Ever since she regained her memories, she couldn't help but cry every time she thought about it. Bei Gong Tang and the other two were silent. They didn't think that she had actually experienced so much. The regret and pain in her words were so deep that it made them sad as well. No wonder she cried so much when she advanced to God level. No wonder she was so sad when she saw the things in Memory Restaurant. Did you know this Chinamo in the past? Bei Gong Tang asked. Memory Restaurant, could it be that this restaurant was built to commemorate you? Chinamo was a very good friend of mine in the past. His cultivation talent wasn't very good, but he really liked to cook. In the beginning we became friends because of this. Sima Yue wiped away the tears on her face, saying, When I went to Memory Restaurant today, I didn't think too much about it. However, those signature dishes, if it wasn't me who taught him before, then it was him who made them for me. That honey chicken wing, because I was in a hurry, I only told him how to make it, but I didn't think that he would make it taste the same as what I remembered. His restaurant wasn't called this in the past, but I wouldn't mistake the taste, so I guessed that he was the owner. He had once told her that his dream was to open many restaurants, so that she could eat the delicacies she wanted to eat wherever she went. Bei Gong Tang held Sima Yue's hand, saying, No matter if you were reborn or not, you are still our Yue. Sima Yue wanted to smile, but she couldn't get rid of the sadness in her eyes. Yue, what was your name in the past? Shiman Yue. It wasn't a very big clan in the central regions. Sima Yue replied. What about the person who killed you? The Zhongzheng clan was attached to the Yinyang Palace. That Yinyang Palace was only a second-rate power, and there were other powers attached to them. Sima Yue clenched her fist, saying, "The people who made a move against us were the Zhongzheng clan and the Yin Palace. When we grow up, we'll go back and take revenge." Ouyang Fei said. "Okay." Sima Yue nodded. Since she chose to say it, then she wouldn't hide it from them. She understood them and they wouldn't stay out of it. At the same time, on a mountain in the central regions, a man wearing a mask was standing in the wind. A girl walked over asking, "Do you really want to go out?" The man's voice was hoarse and it was obvious that it wasn't a normal voice. "But the opponent is so strong. No matter how strong they are, I have to go." The man said, "I've sacrificed so much and it's all for the sake of killing my enemy. Grandfather said that if you don't use that power, you can still live for a few more decades. If I can kill a few more enemies, I'd rather live a few more decades. Living isn't the reason for my survival, revenge is my life's pursuit." "Then I'll go with you." The man shook his head. "You should stay in the valley." "No, you can either stay and we'll find a way together. Or you can take me with you." The girl tugged at the corner of his clothes, her attitude very firm. The man still shook his head. "If you dare to go out by yourself, I'll just die here. You know that the opponent is very strong. I'll be in danger if I go out. Why do you still?" "Because I like you. No matter what you look like, I like you. I'd rather not live if I have to watch you face those people alone. I don't have long to live. I don't care, as long as you're alive, I'll like you. As long as I like you, I'll follow you. No matter where you go, I'll follow you. I heard that there's a great auction in the Shenyuan Pavilion next month in the outer central region, and those people will be there too. The central region is so far away, we'll go and kill those people and they won't know anything. How about it?" The man looked at the girl's bright eyes and sighed again. He looked at the birds flying in the distance and didn't speak again. Chapter 476. Sima Yue, Bei Gongtang and the others were chatting in the house, talking about some things that happened in the past. They did not know that the matter of her leaving the Symbol in Memory restaurant had already spread to the central regions through a special channel. In a large courtyard, a maid hurriedly walked into an exquisite small courtyard and was stopped by the guards at the door. "Where's Master?" the maid asked. "I am in seclusion, trying to break through to the high-level Divine Emperor realm." A guard said. Before Master went into seclusion, he instructed that no one is to disturb him. So if Miss Mu has something to say, it's better to wait for Master to come out of seclusion. "Miss Mu, you've been taking care of the matters of the restaurant all these years. It's rare to see you looking for Master. Is there something important?" another guard asked. Mu Wen took out a shadow recording stone and injected spirit energy into it. The shadow recording stone emitted a burst of light, and an image appeared in the air. There was no one in the picture, only a pile of used cutlery. However, the two guards were shocked when they saw the picture. "This watermark." Qin Hong, the guard who spoke later, pointed at the watermark on the table in surprise. "That's right, it's one of the symbols that Master told us about." Another guard, Qin Ran, said. Mu Wen stopped injecting her spiritual power, and the image disappeared. "Now you know why I'm so anxious." "Miss Mu, where did this message come from?" Qin Ran asked. "Outside, in the southern prefecture's innumerable azure city." Mu Wen said. "Did that person really appear?" Qin Hong asked incredulously. "Or is this just a coincidence?" "Whether it's a coincidence or not, this is the first time in many years. Thinking about all these years, this is still hope." "But if it's just a coincidence, won't you be even more disappointed?" Qin Hong felt sorry for his master. "Take a look at this news." Mu Wen took out a piece of paper and showed it to them. When the two of them saw the words on it, their eyes widened. "Sima Yue? His name is Yue too? But why is it a man?" Qin Hong shouted. "Both are called Yue. This is too much of a coincidence. As for whether or not it is true, I still need to personally confirm it when I come out." Mu Wen said, "That side has already gone to investigate their matter. I believe there will be results very soon. I also don't know why Master is so insistent. The people of Shimin clan have already been dead for so long. At that time, we also saw the corpse of Shimin Yue with our own eyes. Why is he so insistent that she is still alive? Why did you spend so much energy and money to open so many restaurants in the central and peripheral regions to inquire about her?" Qin Hong was puzzled. "Master has his own ideas, we just need to execute them." Mu Wen said, "I don't know when Master will come out, I'll just wait here." After Mu Wen finished speaking, she walked to the pavilion in the courtyard and sat down. She stared blankly at the shadow recording stone in her hand. In the past she had followed Qin Mo, and she had also met Shimin Yue a few times. The symbol drawn by the watermark gave her a familiar feeling, and it didn't seem to be a coincidence. However, she was also certain that Shimin Yue was already dead. She had snatched the corpse from that person's hands. There was no longer any signs of life. Furthermore, she had personally seen her master bury Shimin Yue's corpse. Now how could the news of innumerable Green Palace's people being beaten up in front of Shen Yuan Pavilion quickly spread throughout the entire innumerable Green City? Many people were prepared to see Yue and the others get caught. However, after a few days there was no news at all. Could it be that innumerable Green Palace's people were just going to let it go? Even Yue and the others were a little surprised. They thought that innumerable Green Palace's people would quickly come to cause trouble for them. However, they didn't expect that these few days would be so quiet. The reason for this was actually because Xia Yingying and the others had been locked up. They didn't have the time to cause trouble for Yue and the others. The reason for this was because the shopkeeper of Memory Restaurant had said to innumerable Green Palace's Vice Palace Master that their juniors were becoming more and more arrogant. After the Vice Palace Master returned, he immediately ordered people to understand the situation during the day. After knowing what had happened, he locked up all the people involved in the incident during the day. Vice Palace Master, what is the meaning of this? What did Yingying and the others do wrong? You actually locked them up. A big bearded man directly ran to the Vice Palace Master's palace to interrogate him. The Vice Palace Master explained everything and said, "The younger generation of Innumerable Green Palace is actually so rude and unreasonable. They use the name of Innumerable Green Palace to bully others. Locking them up is already considered a light punishment. Palace Master Xia, as a Palace Master, you didn't teach your daughter well. You let Yingying develop such a character. Instead of going back and properly reflecting, you actually came here to interrogate me?" After being scolded by the Vice Palace Master, Xia Zhong's expression turned ugly. However, he still didn't think that his daughter had done anything wrong. They were from Innumerable Green Palace. Those lowly commoners should have given in to their daughter. Not only did they snatch their private room, they even beat them up on the streets. They had embarrassed themselves in front of the entire city. It had to be said that the kind of father would raise the kind of daughter. Xia Zhong returned to his own palace. The moment he entered, his beautiful wife pulled him by the ear and scolded him. Because he didn't get his precious daughter out, he was still locked up in that damp and dark place. Useless old thing. Your own daughter is suffering there and you still can't get her out. What kind of father are you? Wuxia was beautiful and had a fierce personality. She loved her daughter the most. When she heard that her daughter had been locked up, she asked Xia Zhong to look for the Vice Palace Master. She didn't expect that after waiting for so long, he was the only one who came back. Thus she started scolding him. Originally, Xia Zhong had taken such a beautiful wife and treasured her dearly. She gave birth to an intelligent and beautiful daughter with good innate talent. She even became an alchemist and obtained the sect's permission to match her with a sacred beast. He doted on her even more. He was already angry that he didn't get his daughter out. Now that he was being scolded by his wife, he was even angrier. He hated Yue and the others even more. Qiao, don't be angry. The Vice Palace Master has already given his punishment. We can't change it. Xia Zhong coaxed. Then what about our daughter? Luckily, the Vice Palace Master didn't punish her for too long. Yingying will be out in a month. What's going on? Listen to me, Xia Zhong explained the situation to Wu Qiao. After hearing it, Wu Qiao angrily slammed the table. What a good memory restaurant. Our Yingying went to eat there because she thought highly of them. They actually dared to gang up with a few lowly commoners to bully my daughter. Bring some people to take care of those fellows. I want to see if my innumerable Green Palace is more powerful than that memory restaurant. Also, take care of those people too. They dared to hurt my daughter. They're simply looking for death. That won't do. Xia Zhong said. The Vice Palace Master said that we're not allowed to do anything. Why did I marry such a useless thing like you? He doesn't allow us to do anything openly. Your family isn't under the direct control of the innumerable Green Palace. Can't you think of something there? Xia Zhong's eyes lit up when he heard it and said, Qiao, you're so smart. I'll go find them and discuss it. Chapter 477. Sima Yue and the others stayed in the inn for a few days, but no one came to find trouble with them. Gradually, they put this matter at the back of their minds and waited quietly for the day of the teleportation portal. On this day they were drinking tea downstairs when a high-level divine ancestor and a high-level god king walked in. Young Master Xia, why are you so free to come here today? Could it be that you want to stay in the inn? The waiter went up and said with a smile. The man in the yellow embroidered robe raised his chin high and said, How could I have the time to stay at your inn? I have something to do today. Young Master Xia, what's the matter? Go, call that Sima Yue Bei Gong Tang, Ouyang Fei and Sima Yulin over. Is there anything I can help you with? There's something, of course there's something. The yellow-clothed man said, daring to hit my Xia Qingren's cousin, these people are tired of living. Today I am here to help my cousin get back at her. Quickly go and call him over. If you make me wait too long, I will be even angrier. Yue and the others didn't pay much attention to the person who came in. However, they frowned when they heard what the person said. Xia Yingying's cousin? No wonder he hadn't come looking for trouble with them these past few days. It turned out that he had gone looking for help. Xia Qingren saw that Xiao Er didn't move, so he shouted with a dark face, Why aren't you going? Do you want me to tear this place down? The waiter pointed to a corner of the hall and said, Young Master Xia, they are over there. Xia Qingren followed the waiter's hand and saw 4 people sitting at a square table drinking tea. He said, The 4 of you come over here. There was no response. I told you to come here, did you hear me? Xia Qingren roared. You're crazy. Bei Gong Tang replied faintly, not even putting him in her eyes. What do you mean? Don't you understand my words? Ouyang Fei picked up his teacup and took a sip. Not only is he sick, but he's also stupid. Isn't stupidity a kind of illness? Sima Yulin said. Exactly. Sima Yu raised her cup towards Sima Yulin. You guys are looking down on me too much. I'm very angry and the consequences are very serious. Not only is this person stupid, he's also very stupid. Bei Gong Tang said. Xia Qingren's cold aura was about to lower the temperature of the room, but the 4 people still didn't react. They treated him like air. Xiada, go and kill them all for us. Originally, I only wanted to chop off one of their legs and one of their hands, leaving them alive to struggle at death's door. But now, I don't want to see them anymore. He knew that Sima Yue had a rank 3 sacred beast, but other than Xiada himself, who was a high divine overlord, he also had contracted beasts of similar strength, so it was more than enough to deal with them. Xiada was a taciturn person. He walked over and threw a spirit energy ball. However, the spirit energy ball froze in the air and dissipated. Xia Qingren and the others were shocked when they saw this scene. How could the spiritual energy ball be frozen before it even touched them? Could it be that there was an expert protecting them? But they didn't sense anyone else's aura. It's my first time using spatial energy. I didn't think that the effect would be so good. Sima Yue said lightly. You can use your thoughts to seal the space. You're getting more and more familiar with spatial energy. Sima Yulin said. Aren't you about the same? Sima Yue said. Sima Yulin's spatial energy was not bad and could seal a certain amount of space. You're an array master? Xiada looked at Sima Yue in shock. Only array masters could use spatial energy. That's right. Xiada turned his head, wanting to see his young master's attitude. Array master? Xia Qingren frowned. This was a little difficult. His uncle didn't say that the other party was an array master. Furthermore, looking at the situation, it seemed like there were 2 array masters. However, when he thought about how his cousin was being confined, he threw away his worries and huffed. So what if you're an array master? It's not like I've never seen an array master before. Do you think I'll be scared? Xiada, continue. Xiada nodded and called out his own spirit beast. It was a 3rd-ranked sacred beast. An array master's battle power was very strong. Even if he was a whole rank higher, he still didn't dare to let his guard down. Sima Yue also called out Chongming. With his strength, it was no problem for him to deal with these 2 people, who asked him to be an idle spirit beast. In this aspect, he was comparable to an array master. Chongming, throw them all out. Sima Yue ordered, Young Master Xia, right? If you still want your little life, it's best that you don't appear in front of me again. Otherwise, my spirit beast might accidentally kill you. That would be bad. Sister, I want to come out. Little Dream suddenly said. Sima Yue didn't know what Little Dream wanted to do, but she rarely came out after coming to the continent. Now that she wanted to come out, she would satisfy her. A cute little child dressed in black appeared in front of everyone. Looking at her, they thought that she was a human child. However, once they felt her aura, they knew that she was a spirit beast. After Little Dream came out, she didn't do anything. She only glared at Xia Qingren and Xiada when they looked at her. Then she smiled and said, Master. Sima Yue knew what Little Dream had just done. She smiled and patted her head. Chongming's movements were very nimble. He first sealed the space, then kicked them out. In order to save time, he directly kicked the two of them and the spirit beast 2 streets away. Those who were watching the show saw that he was so powerful, and looked at Sima Yue in a new light. Sima Yue supported her chin with one hand and looked at Chongming. She smiled and said, "Chongming, you're getting more and more powerful. I've always been like this." Chongming was too lazy to go back after coming out, so he sat beside Sima Yulin. "Little Dream, what did you do just now?" Bei Gongtang asked curiously. "I didn't do much. I just made them have nightmares when they go back." Little Dream said obediently. "Little brat, who taught you that?" Sima Yue scratched her nose. "Big brother Fatty and the others. They said that those people were so annoying, but you can't kill them now. That's why they asked me to make them suffer." Little Dream said seriously. "Little Dream can protect Master too. Little Dream is so obedient," Sima Yue said with a smile. She believed that Xia Qingren and Xia Tian would definitely live well in the future. "Waiter, come over." Ouyang Fei waved at the waiter. The waiter walked over to them, trembling. These people had just sent a divine overlord flying with a kick. What cruel people. "Dear guests, what's the matter? What's Xia Qingren's background? What's his relationship with Xia Yingying?" Ouyang Fei asked. "The Xia clan is one of the bigger clans in innumerable Green City. Because Xia Zhong, who is Xia Yingying's father, is a branch palace master, the Xia clan has always been rude and unreasonable in innumerable Green City. Xia Zhong and Xia Qingren's father are blood brothers." Sima Yue rubbed her chin. "Blood brothers." At this time a familiar voice came from the door. "Yue? So it's you guys." Chapter 478. Yue and the others looked towards the door and saw Chou Xiaotian and Lian Zhe walking in. "Why are you here?" "When we were outside we heard someone mention your name, so we came over to see if you were here. I didn't expect it to really be you guys." Chou Xiaotian walked over and said. "Big brother Chou, you still haven't returned to Central State?" Ouyang Fei asked. "Brother Lian Zhe has invited me to the innumerable Green Palace as a guest for a few days, so this trip has been put on hold." Chou Xiaotian said, "However, I will not be returning to the Central region in the near future." "What? Your Excellency Shen Yuan, there will be a huge auction in the Central region next month. I contacted my master yesterday and he asked me to meet him in the Central region." Chou Xiaotian said, "When are you going to the Central region? If it's early we can even get together." Bei Gongtang took out the number she had taken and looked at it, saying, "We still have close to 20 days. You guys even queued up?" Lian Zhe looked at the familiar number tag and said, "Didn't I tell you to look for me when you came here and I would arrange it for you? How long have you been here?" "It's been a few days." Yue said, "Your innumerable Green Palace's gates are too high. Even if we went, we wouldn't be able to see you. You have quite a big opinion of the innumerable Green Palace." Chou Xiaotian said with a smile. "I'm just telling the truth." Yue shrugged. "Furthermore, we've already offended someone from your innumerable Green Palace. If we go looking for you, we'll just be walking right into your trap. Did you guys have a conflict with Xia Yingying?" Lian Zhe pulled a chair from the table next to his and sat down. "That's right. Didn't you see that the Xia family is here?" Yue mocked. "This should be done by Xia Zhong and Wu Qiao." Lian Zhe said, "Our vice palace master has confined Xia Yingying and the others, so our innumerable Green Palace is still fair." "I heard about it too. I also heard that Xia Zhong went to look for the deputy palace master and was severely reprimanded in the end." Chou Xiaotian had been staying in the innumerable Green Palace for the past few days, so he knew a little about the news that was spreading like wildfire. Xia Yingying and the others were grounded? Yue raised her eyebrows. She hadn't expected this. The vice palace master scolded Xia Zhong and forbade anyone from the innumerable Green Palace from causing trouble. Therefore this should be Xia Zhong's own actions. You can't wrong us because of this. Lian Zhe pretended to be wronged as he looked at Sima Yue. Even if that vice palace master of yours is reasonable, the younger generation has also lost their reputation. Your inner circle knows what you're like, but what everyone sees is how the younger generation acts on the outside. Sima Yulin said. That is indeed not a good thing. Those who grew up in the innumerable Green Palace are indeed prideful. However, that's only a minority. Most of the younger generation still grow up well. Lian Zhe said. Sima Yue shrugged and did not comment. Anyway, it had nothing to do with them and they did not need to argue about it. As for the people in the inn, they felt like they were in a fantasy. Lian Zhe was the palace master, so who in the innumerable green palace did not know him? However, based on their conversation just now, Lian Zhe had always been defending the innumerable green palace. It was as if he did not want the other party to hate his sect. This made everyone even more curious about his identity. When they thought about her contracted beasts, they realized that she had 3 sacred beasts. Even Xia Yingying and the others did not have the right to have them, let alone the power to have them. Big Brother Cho, is the auction that you mentioned very big? Even your master and the others want to go. Will the people from the other regions go as well? Sima Yue asked. I heard that it has been many years since it was this big. The items being auctioned are all very high ranked. For example, spirit tools. The lowest ranked ones are divine ranked. Furthermore, there are many different types and many rare items. Lian Zhe said, there should be people from all the continents who want to go. Our innumerable green palace received an invitation. Those without an invitation can't go. Why is the auction not held in the central regions but in the outer regions? Sima Yue did not understand. I heard that it's to train the younger generation. This time the younger generation is fully in charge. It seems to be related to the future leader of the Xianyuan Pavilion. Lian Zhe said, it's said that the younger generation are all managing the affairs in the outer regions. Yu, are you guys going to participate in the auction? Zhou Xiaotian asked. Not necessarily. We'll see if there's enough time. Sima Yue said. An auction that could invite people from all the continents would definitely attract people. However, they had to go there to save people first. As for what would happen, she was not sure. If there was enough time, going to take a look wasn't a bad idea. If the situation is more complicated, we can go to the auction first before going back. Bei Gongtang said, anyway, we've waited for so many years. We don't have to rush these 2 months. She could see that Yu was interested in the auction. She did not want her to be unable to go because of her own matters. Let's go take a look at the situation before making a decision. Sima Yue said. Okay. What are you guys talking about? Zhou Xiaotian did not understand. You wouldn't know even if I told you. Sima Yue gave him a you don't understand look. Then she said to Lian Zhe, if we want to leave now, can you help us? Of course. Lian Zhe said with a smile, we can go now. I'll go pay the bill. Ouyang Fei stood up and went to the counter to calculate the accommodation fees for these few days. The shopkeeper quickly calculated the bill for them and said, you guys are staying in the 4 rooms in the sky room. Each room costs 15 middle-ranked crystals a day. You've stayed for 9 days, so it's a total of 540 middle-ranked crystals. Here. Ouyang Fei took out 540 middle-ranked crystals without batting an eyelid. They had brought their things with them, so there was nothing in the room. The few of them directly left the inn and went to the place where the teleportation array was. The teleportation array was in the city. It was not particularly far from where they were staying. The few of them walked for half an hour before they arrived. Palace Master Lian. Are you here to inspect? A manager saw Lian Zhe and quickly ran over. This teleportation array was directly managed by the innumerable green palace, so it did not belong to the city lord's palace. No. Lian Zhe said, I brought a few friends over. They're going to the central region. Palace Master Lian, there's no other way. The manager said, this teleportation array was broken this morning. We're looking for Grandmaster Hao to fix it. Broken? What did Grandmaster Hao say? Grandmaster Hao said that it would take at least 3 days to fix it. The manager replied. Lian Zhe turned to Sima Yue and said, Grandmaster Hao is an array master. If he said it would take 3 days, then it should be fine. Since you've already checked out, why don't you stay in the innumerable green palace for 2 days? Little Meng held Sima Yue's hand and gently squeezed it. Sima Yue lowered her head to look at her and nodded, that's good too. Then we'll have to trouble Palace Master Lian. Yue, you're an array master too. Don't you want to check on the teleportation array? Zhou Xiaotian asked. Chapter 479. Yue is also an array master? Lian Zhe asked in surprise. I know a little. Sima Yue said. Do you want to take a look? Can I? Sima Yue was tempted. Before Lian Zhe could say yes, the steward on the side spoke first. Hall Master Lian, Grandmaster Hao doesn't like people watching when he's setting up arrays. Lian Zhe also thought of this problem and said apologetically, that Grandmaster Hao has a weird temper. Even we don't dare to provoke him, forget it then. Sima Yue smiled. In any case, she would be able to see the array formation from behind, so there was no hurry. Then let's go to the innumerable green palace first. Lian Zhe was a little embarrassed. All right. They went to the innumerable green city. When they found out that Lian Zhe had brought Sima Yue and the others here, the people of the innumerable green palace were very surprised. Later on, when they found out that Lian Zhe had treated them as important guests, they were curious about their identities. In the Red River Hall, which was very far away from the Soaring Cloud Hall, Xia Zhong and Wu Qiao listened to their disciples' report. They were so angry that their teeth itched. They had just found out that Xia Qingren and the others had been beaten up, and in the blink of an eye, they found out that they had been invited to the innumerable green palace as VIPs. Wasn't this just causing trouble for them? This Lian Zhe, he clearly knows that these people are not on good terms with us, yet he still welcomed them to the innumerable green palace. How despicable. Xia Zhong said hatefully. This Soaring Cloud Palace has always been at odds with my Red River Palace. It's not surprising that they invited those people. You guys go down first. Wu Qiao waved her hand at the servant girls in the main hall. After everyone left, she continued, now is an opportunity. What opportunity? Xia Zhong was stunned. Before he could figure out why she had called him away, his wife had mysteriously told him about it. What a blockhead. Wu Qiao glared at him fiercely. Aren't they here now? We can think of a way to teach them a lesson. Although Xia Zhong had a bad temper, he was a straightforward person. He was not like Wu Qiao who was full of twists and turns. Now that he heard his wife say this, he understood and said, Madam, do you have any good ideas? Don't we have some forbidden areas? When the time comes, I'll get someone to lead them inside and trespass into the forbidden area. Let's see what they'll do then. Wu Qiao sneered and said, bullying my daughter, how can I let them off so easily? Madam's idea is very good. But which forbidden area should we lead them to? Let's go to the third forbidden area. No one will die there, but they won't come out easily either. Wu Qiao said, go and make the arrangements. Don't mess things up this time, or I'll regret marrying an idiot like you. Don't worry, madam. I won't mess it up this time. Xia Zhong smiled flatteringly. I'll make the arrangements now. Go quickly. If you can't do it well, don't come back. Madam, just wait for my good news. Xia Zhong said as he went out. No one in the room noticed that there were two bees on the beam. On the other side, Sima Yue and the other three were touring the innumerable green palace under Lian Zhe's lead. After receiving the Scarlet Queen Bee's report, she smiled faintly. Palace Master Lian, your innumerable green palace is so big. There must be some restricted areas, right? There are. We have a large restricted area here. The first 3 restricted areas are forbidden from entering without permission. The last 2 restricted areas are for those who are weak to enter vertically and come out horizontally. Lian Zhe said. Then can you bring us outside the restricted areas to take a look? Sima Yue said with a smile. It wouldn't be good if we accidentally enter the restricted areas. Lian Zhe thought about it and nodded. We can walk outside the restricted areas. After saying that, he led them to change their original route and walked directly towards the restricted areas of the innumerable green palace. The first restricted area was a canyon. They stood on top of the canyon. Lian Zhe pointed down and said, this is our cliff of remorse. Those who have made mistakes are all imprisoned here. Why here? Although this canyon doesn't look very long, it's a bottomless abyss. It's extremely cold. Those imprisoned here can only use strength below the divine rank. If they want to expel the cold, their spiritual energy is far from enough. This can be considered a form of punishment. Lian Zhe said. Although it's called a punishment, it's actually a form of training. Sima Yue said. In this kind of environment, if they used it well, they could gain many benefits. A white-robed old man who was meditating on a huge rock on the opposite side of the cliff heard her words. His tightly shut eyes moved slightly and he opened them to look at her. Lian Zhe wanted to say something but was stopped by the old man's gaze. Why do you think this is a form of training? The old man opened his mouth and asked. They had seen this old man when they arrived. However, Sima Yue didn't ask for his identity. Since he was meditating here, he should be a guard or something. The temperature here is very low and those imprisoned here can only use strength below the divine rank. If they want to resist the cold, they can only continuously use their spiritual energy and maximize it. This will help them control their own strength. She replied. Moreover, I think that if they want to resist the cold, their spiritual energy will need to be constantly aware of their own situation. If they keep doing this, it will also improve their spiritual energy. The old man stroked his long white beard and nodded. Your understanding is not bad. This place does have such an effect. It's a pity that those who make mistakes only see this place as a punishment and not a form of training. Sima Yue smiled at the old man and then said to Lian Zhe, "Let's go to the other forbidden areas to take a look." Lian Zhe glanced at the old man. Seeing that he didn't say anything, he nodded. "Then let's go to the second forbidden area." The second forbidden area was a courtyard. A tall wall blocked the view of the inside. Lian Zhe didn't say what was inside, but it must be a special courtyard used by the innumerable Green Palace. After that, they went to the third forbidden area. They didn't expect it to be a valley. There's nothing special about the third forbidden area. Why is it considered a forbidden area? Sima Yue asked. There are actually some spirit beasts reared by the sect. Or maybe they met some ferocious beasts and couldn't bear to kill them, so they kept them here. Lian Zhe said. Sima Yue looked at the ordinary valley entrance. There's a barrier here? Yes. Sima Yue took 2 steps forward and a barrier appeared, blocking her outside. Then who can enter this place? She pretended to ask casually. All the palace masters can enter. Our palace masters have a token that represents their identity. With this, they can enter and exit freely. Lian Zhe said as he took out a golden token. On one side of it was a palace and on the other side were the words Soaring Cloud Palace. No pop-up window. Our address. We provide handwritten versions of the latest chapters of our works. We can download them in TXT ebook format for free. Chapter 480. Sima Yue looked at the token and asked, "Can I try?" Once you go in, you'll have to come out immediately. The ferocious beasts inside are still very powerful. Lian Zhe did not object. All right. Sima Yue took the token and continued walking forward. The enchantment did not stop her anymore. She took 2 steps and came back out again. She returned the token to him and said, "This thing is really rare. This was personally made by the Hall Master. He said that it's connected to many of the barriers in the innumerable Green Palace." Lian Zhe kept the token. Let's continue to the next 2 places. All right. Lian Zhe didn't bring them closer to the last 2 places. He only glanced at them from afar before leaving. It seemed like these 2 places had secrets that couldn't be spoken of. However, which great sect didn't have a few secret places? The innumerable Green Palace was considered one of the few. After watching for so long, I'm tired of walking. It's getting late. Let's return to the Soaring Cloud Palace. Lian Zhe said. All right. After they returned, Sima Yue and the rest stayed in the guest room while Lian Zhe was called away. Yue, why do you want to see those forbidden areas? Bei Gong Tang and the others would not question her words or actions outside, but when there were no outsiders around they would still ask. This was because they knew that Yue would not do such things for no reason. Didn't we release a few scarlet bees when we arrived in the afternoon? Sima Yue said. I think I saw you move. Sima Yulin said. What news did you hear? I told them to look for Xia Zhong and the others. I happened to hear that he and his wife were planning to bring us to the Forbidden Grounds and have the innumerable Green Palace punish us. Of course, if we can die in there, it will be even better. Sima Yue said. This Xia Zhong, it looks like he didn't get any benefits from the Xia clan. I didn't think that he still hasn't given up. Bei Gong Tang said. With such parents, it's no wonder she raised such a daughter. Ouyang Fei said, looks like we have to teach them a lesson. Otherwise, we won't be able to vent our anger. Little Meng will let them enjoy themselves tonight. Sima Yue said. Little Dream, you have to punish them properly. Bei Gong Tang patted Little Dream's head, saying, because of our strength, we can't directly exterminate them. We also can't provoke too much trouble, so we can't openly take care of those 2 old fellows. Right now we're counting on you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Little Dream nodded seriously. When she was in the Spirit Pagoda, she was furious at Xia Ying and the others for bullying her. She couldn't wait to come out and beat them up. Wei Ziqi and Sima Yu Ran analyzed Yue's current situation for her and told her not to cause trouble for Sima Yu. After that, they taught her how to take revenge for Yue without anyone knowing. She was a rather special type of magical beast. She could attack people mentally, causing them to fall into nightmares, or create an environment to cause them to fall into hallucinations. This kind of attack didn't reveal anything. The average person had never come into contact with it before. They didn't even know about the existence of nightmare beasts, so it was very difficult for people to notice it. You still have to be careful. Sima Yu said, the innumerable Green Palace is such a big sect. There will definitely be powerful people. It'll be troublesome if they find out. I understand. Little Dream said, However, those people aren't that strong right now. According to my inherited memories, as long as the other party hasn't broken through to the monarch rank, there won't be any problems. Above the spirit rank was the divine rank, above the divine rank was the monarch rank, and after the monarch rank was the emperor rank. Furthermore, no one had seen anyone with emperor rank in the entire continent, so this move of hers wouldn't be discovered by anyone. Sima Yu heard what she said and nodded, saying, "Since that's the case, then you have to be more ruthless." Okay. Little Dream smiled and replied. She would do it even if her master didn't say it. "Alright, everyone should return to the house." Sima Yu said, "They won't act until tomorrow." At the same time, Lian Zhe went to the main hall. Greetings to the palace master and vice palace master. Lian Zhe bowed to the elder on the main seat. White-robed and white-bearded, it was the elder he saw in the first forbidden area. "Lian Zhe, who were those people today?" Palace Master Qing Yuan asked. "Those are people I met when I was in the Lian clan." Lian Zhe told Qing Yuan about Sima Yu and the others. The contracted master of the King of the Rocks. "I didn't expect her background to be so big." Qing Yuan said, "They were the ones who had a conflict with Xia Yingying and the others?" "Yes." Lian Zhe replied. "At first I was wondering if we could let her join our innumerable green palace, but it seems like that won't be possible." Qing Yuan said, "Regarding Xia Yingying's matter, Memory Restaurant's attitude is also a little unhappy. When we return, we'll have to send someone to apologize properly." Palace Master, forgive me for speaking bluntly, but the younger generation nowadays is indeed a little too arrogant. They use the innumerable green palace's name to bully others outside, and there are already many people who are unhappy with us. Regarding Xia Yingying's matter, it's a good thing that Yue and the others have good temperaments. If they met someone who wasn't easy to talk to, they would have directly brought the four-winged rocks to seek justice. Even if it wouldn't be as serious as exterminating the sect, the price they would have to pay would still be disastrous. The younger generation nowadays is indeed a little bad. When I was meditating in the first forbidden area, I heard them cursing below. They weren't thinking about what they did wrong, but how to seek revenge after they came out. The hatred in their hearts is what keeps them going. Qing Yuan said, "In this aspect they can't compare to Sima Yu's awareness. These few years, our sect has been developing rapidly, and many people have forgotten to be vigilant in times of peace. This isn't a good sign." The Vice Palace Master also frowned and said, "The innumerable Green Palace will have to be handed over to the younger generation in the future. If they don't develop well, I'm afraid our innumerable Green Palace will be in trouble in the future. We will definitely go downhill. It's time to change the atmosphere in the palace." Qing Yuan said, "I'll leave this matter to the two of you." "Yes, Palace Master." The two of them replied in unison. "Since we've received an invitation to the auction next month, let's go and take a look. We have to give face to the Shenyuan Pavilion." Qing Yuan said. "Then who should we send?" The Vice Palace Master asked. "I'll go personally. It'll be enough to bring a few other people." Qing Yuan said, "Why don't Lian Zhe ignore the matter of cleaning up the atmosphere for now and choose someone else to do it? Lian Zhe, you'll come with me to the auction." "Yes, Palace Master. I feel that we can bring the younger generation with us to broaden their horizons," the Vice Palace Master said. They're the pillars of the innumerable Green Palace. It'll be good for them to broaden their horizons." On the morning of the second day, a servant girl came to Sima Yu's courtyard. When the servant girl came, she bowed to Sima Yu and the others, saying, "Esteemed guests, the Palace Master invites you in." Sima Yu raised an eyebrow and exchanged glances with Bei Gong Tang and the others. "Since the Palace Master has invited us, let's go and pay our respects." Chapter 481. Crazy Wife, the fifth miss of the Divine Doctor. Sima Yue and the other four followed the servant girl and left the house, heading towards the third forbidden area. If it were not for the fact that Lian Zhe had brought them here before, they wouldn't even know that they were in front of the third forbidden area. "Your Palace Master lives in such a secluded place?" Sima Yue saw that they were already in front of the third forbidden area and asked intentionally. The servant girl didn't look flustered at all and said, "Our Palace Master likes peace and quiet, so he lives far away. Oh, it's in the valley in front. There aren't any buildings here. Does your Palace Master live in a cave?" Ouyang Fei said. "Yes." The servant girl replied. "Are we going the wrong way?" Sima Yue stood still. How could it be? The servant girl's eyes flashed with panic as she forced a smile, saying, The palace master is in front. Let's go quickly. Otherwise, if we drag it out for too long, the palace master will be unhappy. That's true. You're a servant girl of the innumerable green palace, so you definitely know the way. Let's continue. Sima Yue said. The servant girl saw that Sima Yue had said this and her expression relaxed, saying, "Okay, let's go." When they arrived at the barrier in front of the forbidden area, the servant girl took out a token. What is this? The palace master likes peace and quiet. In order to prevent outsiders from disturbing him, he set up a barrier here. If you want to enter, you have to use this to open the barrier. The servant girl explained. So that's how it is. Sima Yue and the others didn't expose her and followed her in. After entering the barrier, they walked a few tens of meters before the servant girl stopped and said, "The area in front is where the palace master lives. We don't have the right to enter. Esteemed guests, please enter on your own." After speaking, she turned around to leave. However, when she turned around, she saw Sima Yulin and Ouyang Fei standing behind her, looking at her meaningfully. "Are you Wu Qiao's personal servant girl?" Sima Yue asked with a smile. The maidservant was shocked. They actually knew her identity? Wu Qiao was afraid that Xia Zhong's men would not be able to handle this matter well, so she changed the person at the last minute this morning. "She asked you to bring us to the third forbidden area," Sima Yue said. Seeing the shock on the servant girl's face, she smiled happily. What are you talking about? The palace master is still waiting for you inside. You'd better go in quickly." The maid tried her best to keep her expression normal, but unfortunately, her gaze still revealed her current emotions. "Alright, we're already here. What are you trying to hide?" Sima Yue said, "Do you think we don't know that this is the third forbidden area? We came here yesterday." "You." The maidservant looked at Sima Yue in shock. Since they knew about this place, why did they still follow him? "Are you wondering why you're here? You'll know in a while." She smiled mysteriously. A few minutes later, Sima Yue stood outside the spirit barrier while the others stayed inside. Furthermore, she did not look like her original self. She had fused with Thousand Resonance and changed her appearance. She looked exactly the same as the maidservant. Half an hour later, Xia Zhong came here. "Greetings to the palace master." The maidservant bowed to Xia Zhong. Xia Zhong saw that there was only the maidservant here. The others were all inside the spirit barrier. There were obvious signs of a fight inside the spirit barrier. There was someone lying down in the distance. Bei Gong Tang was squatting beside that person with her back facing him. Xia Zhong guessed that someone was injured and was being taken care of. Ouyang Fei and Sima Yulin looked at them angrily and asked, "Who are you? Why do you want to harm us?" "Who am I?" "I am Xia Yingying's father, the palace master of the Red River Palace." Xia Zhong said, "My daughter was punished by being confined for a year because of you. As her father, I naturally have to seek justice for her." "Xia Yingying's father?" Sima Yulin snorted coldly. "With someone like you who can't tell right from wrong, it's not surprising that you would raise someone like that." It was clearly Xia Yingying and the others who were in the wrong first and wanted to capture us. We were merely teaching her a lesson, but even her parents were called over. "You really dote on your daughter?" Ouyang Fei mocked. "She's my daughter. I naturally have to dote on her." Xia Zhong said. "What do you want to do? Kill us?" Ouyang Fei asked. "What do I want to do? Actually, I don't want to do much." Xia Zhong said, "This is our third forbidden area. There are many ferocious beasts inside. If you can stay here for 2 days and not die, then I will spare your lives and release you as a punishment for trespassing into the forbidden area. The palace master will definitely spare your lives since you are guests. But if you die here, it's your own fate. There are so many fierce beasts in the third forbidden area. You let us stay here for 2 days and even plotted against us, making us trespassers. As the palace master, is this how you treat your guests? Aren't you afraid that the innumerable green palace will punish you if they find out? Just don't let them know." Xia Zhong said disapprovingly. "If we can survive, we will definitely tell the truth in front of the palace master." Sima Yulin said coldly. Xia Zhong laughed loudly, saying, "Do you think anyone will believe you? I am the palace master of the innumerable green palace, and you are just guests. Will they believe me or will they believe you?" Soaring Cloud Palace. Lian Zhe and the palace master discussed for an entire night before returning. He thought that Sima Yu and the others might have woken up, so he came over to take a look. He met Chou Xiaotian on the way and the two of them went to the courtyard together. No one. Where did they go so early in the morning? Lien Zhe called the servants over, but the servants said that they didn't know where they went. Buzz buzz buzz. 2 bees flew in front of Lien Zhe and Chou Xiaotian. These are Yu's bees. Chou Xiaotian recognized them at a glance. Buzz buzz buzz. The 2 scarlet bees spun a few times in front of the 2 of them, then flew out of the courtyard. They've flown away. Oh, they're flying back? They want us to follow them. Chou Xiaotian understood what the scarlet bees meant, and brought Lien Zhe along to follow them. The scarlet bees brought them all the way to the 3rd forbidden area. From afar they saw Xia Zhong, Wei Ziqi and the others facing each other. Oh no, they've entered the forbidden area. Lien Zhe saw where they were and cried out as he flew over. Xia Zhong, what do you want to do? Xia Zhong didn't think that Lien Zhe would come so quickly. Those beasts hadn't come out yet. However, since he had come, they couldn't wait for another 2 days. They could only punish them for trespassing. You came just in time. I caught 4 people trespassing in the 3rd forbidden area. I heard that they are your guests. What do you think we should do about this? That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.